Afternoon, colleagues. How well are you doing?
Very well.
Very well. So I do hope you are enjoying to be here. So now I'm going to lead or to direct the program. We are going to move to session 3, skipping session 2. So without any waste of time, I will request Mr. Chishibiri to introduce, to welcome and introduce our visitors. Over to you, Mr. Chishibiri.
Afternoon, colleagues. It is a pleasure to introduce our guests for this afternoon. We have got 2 guests who are going to facilitate this strategic workshop. I would like to start by introducing Mr. Baloi, the second manager of Southeast Second. Can we welcome him? I won't say much about Baloi. When the time for him to facilitate arrives, somebody will give a brief introduction. I would also like to welcome Dr. Amazement and his team. Where are they? Memongani and the team. Can you stand up? Have they gone out?
There is one.
Oh, we have one here who is taking a video. So let me introduce him in his absence. Dr. Nemangani is a medical doctor by profession. He has got a strong passion for education. He loves motivating, encouraging young people to do more than what they think they can do. Last year, he also motivated our learners. That is the top 30 from our second, and I think the bottom 30 from our second. We had the chance of motivating them. And this year, he still wishes to motivate learners in our different schools, if invited. So make sure that before he leaves today, you get time to talk to him, because he loves encouraging people. I don't want to say much about Dr. Nemangani. You will get to know him when he presents his speech. It's just unfortunate that I want to say over to you, Dr. Nemangani, and his speech is here.
So let us
There he comes. He's still young, he's a young man, but full of energy. Dr. Nemangani was introducing you. I have already introduced you, a very short introduction, and I believe you will give more of what you know. They will know you when you present, when you give your presentation. You can come to the floor.
I'm quite short. Very interesting. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amazement, and thank you, Mr. Chishiweri, for introducing me, even in my absentia. Yes, I'm just getting some stuff sorted, but I'm here now. I don't like having things in my pocket, but I had to rush it because I was told to come. Can I put my stuff in my pocket so I can just do the work that I'm here to do? Thank you so much. I had my assistants with me. What do you about me? I'm not sure what they told you about me, but yeah. I like to keep it as simple as that, especially when it comes to me. As simple as it is, my name is Amazement, and there's nothing else to be added. No suffix, no prefix. It keeps it simple. So I want just remember Amazement. I'm not trying to remember much of that. Otherwise, just remember the work that I do. So today I was invited here specifically to deal with school heads and educators training. And I really hope that I'll be able to do justice, because I already heard about what was happening earlier today, and I'm quite impressed, if I can say, of what that has already been carried out. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that you get the best of me this afternoon. Allow me to first appreciate the leadership of this institution, the Central Second, for organizing such an event, and for thinking of inviting someone like me to come and speak at such a special event. So thank you, Ms. Nzamba, for an honor. Yes, I'm really honored to be here. And Mr. Chishiweri, Mr. Makwara, all the calls that you called me during the week in preparation of this meeting, I really appreciate it. I think the secretary as well was calling me. I just didn't get a name, so yes, all that's you. Yes. Okay, I'm a pastor, so sometimes I tend to say praise the Lord, even unnecessarily, so just understand me. So yes, we'll get into the gist of the day. And yeah, maybe before I deal with what I'm going to train you, let me tell you about my journey, right? So in 2009, I was doing my second year in university, and I was studying medicine by then. And I remember at that particular moment, you know, when you first go to university, I come from a village called Chino in Vuan. So when you come from that community, you have different expectation of what happens in university. And as I go to university, I was quite shocked at how people in university behave and how learners or students, fellow students in university behave. Because from my understanding, where I came from a village where people my age at that time, they were already sort of, how can I say it, cohabiting, if I can put it that way, getting someone to stay with them. So guys would get a woman or a young lady to stay with them. And it was a pride thing. You say, you know what, you have a lady or you have someone you have impregnated or you've got someone, at least someone will sweep the house. It was a wonderful thing. Parents would crave that. Because at some point in time, my own father went to ask some of my friends and said, hey, what's wrong with my son? Because, you know, I see other people are busy bringing makotis and stuff, and this young man doesn't seem to care about his business. Or it seems like all he has in his mind is school and church alone. And it was the biggest concern. And by then I was not even concerned about, because I thought, no, it's just a normal thing. But that's when it really hit me that there's something happening in my community that I'm not necessarily being part of. But I was craving to have that. I wanted to have a girlfriend then. I wanted to make sure that I too have someone that I can bring home to take care of my parents. I mean, who wants to take them up? They were not even old, but in my mind I thought that was necessary. So what happened is that I had a girlfriend. So I'm in university and I have a girlfriend, and she's in high school, and I would call her when I'm in university, and it was just something like that. So one day, a friend of mine came to my room in university. You know, came there. There's a board in university where you usually paste your own work or your studies in your room. And right there, I pasted, I put a picture of my girlfriend, my then girlfriend. And then that guy came and said, who's this? I said, no, that's my girlfriend. He looked at me and said, but man, you're so young. You already know who you're going to marry and who you want to stay with at this age. And you know, it was the first time that someone said something like that to me, because, I mean, where I come from, it's a pride thing. I'm already late. And this guy is telling me. No, to be honest, I was quite late. And this guy is telling me, no, this is a girlfriend, what's wrong with you? And shockingly, it was not just a guy who's from a different country or anything. It's a guy from South Africa, right from home. Just that he was from town. And when he asked me that question, I started to think at myself, what's happening? Why are people this side not concerned about getting a spouse for themselves? I mean, that's a big concern for me. I need to know who I'm going to marry before I even get to start. And I realized a few months later that I was actually the only one of the very few who was actually very concerned about getting someone to marry at that particular age in time, because everyone else was busy with their studies. And it hit me right there that there's something wrong with where I come from. And immediately, I remember when I went back to home, I started looking at people around, and I realized everyone does that. I'm just getting told the news, oh, you know, Given, oh, he got a wife. Hey, you know, Tiwari, no, he just got another woman. And I'm thinking, wow. And I was like, you know what should do? My grandma should do no. Never should go on do. It's pressure. It was serious pressure. But it was a conflict between the world that I was in the university and the world that I'm staying in at home. Because I was studying in the University of Cape Town. Now, I look back at that and said, you know what, maybe I need to do something. Because my parents had not been to university before. No one in my home or my family had been to university before. I was the first one. So it started bothering me. I need to do something for these learners or for these children around my community. They need to see a different form of life, a different picture of life. So I started having programs, you know. I mean, imagine a young me, I think I was around 19 or 20 then, and I'm busy having programs to gather people around, young people to say, I want to tell you about life. And it was a shock, and it was a problem. And I'll have, because I was at church, I also tried to gather them at church, because church was a safe space to have such discussions. So I had all of those discussions during that period, and, you know, it became a threat to pastors for some reason. That no, this guy is young and now he's taking our youth and wants to teach them about life. No, who does he think he is? He's not even a pastor. He's not even, I mean, he comes from a weird church for that matter. Like, no, we can't have something like that. So pastors will start now telling their children or their youth, say, don't go to that guy. He's just a young boy. He probably wants to date you, anything, for those ones who were females. So it was a challenge for me, a big challenge. And so I said, no, let me formalize this thing. I started a program called History Makers Family. The desire for it was that I want to speak to young people with the mind that even when you're from a community like Shino, a broken community like that, you can become something. And that's difficult because you're talking to people who, for themselves, they don't see even the future that far. They see the next person as the potential boyfriend. They see the next person as the potential wife. They don't see brothers and sisters. And they live in a community where the school, it's as far as you get to grade 12, you're done. If you manage to pass grade 12, wow, well done. You're smart. You're the smartest person in town and you've made it. That was it. But in the other side of the world, going to varsity was not even a thing. I mean, when I go to university, I went there and found that there are kids who, no, it's not a new thing. They're not excited about being in university. I was the only one excited. They were like, you know what? No, I mean, I've been here before. My brother's been here. My sister's been here. My father's been here. In fact, my dad is a professor in this department. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm this guy from home and no one. So I tried to do that. And I adopted one of the kids there. His name was Wawaramwere. So when I adopted him, I said, no, I'm just going to try work with him. So it was a huge group at first. But you know, over time with pressures, people tend to go because young people don't really like to hear about serious stuff. Especially in an environment where no one wants to tell them serious stuff. So, and being told by a young person for that matter, who's just going to varsity, he's not anything, he's not a pastor, he's not married, doesn't have any experience, he just wants to talk to them. So I managed to work with Wabo for some time, but then he was still in early high school. Pushed with him till he managed to complete his varsity. Just before he completed varsity, he was applying for university. Just before he completed his high school, he was applying for university. He goes to school called Korokoshan. I'm not sure if you know it, it's somewhere towards one. And when you're going to school that side, you realize that when you apply for university, there's this thing that in university they say, for example, at UCT, they have a prospectus, and that prospectus has names of schools. So for example, if you are from a certain school, you just choose the code of your school there and put it there. And at that time, for some reason, there was just no code for Korokoshan. And it just dawned to me that no, the reason there's no code is because there's no one who has gone there from Korokoshan yet. Because the reason that they need to have a code is because there's someone who must come from this institution. So Korokoshan is not known in UCT. Not that it doesn't exist, it exists, but it's not known there. So no, I'm going to push this guy. So I pushed that young man, managed to get him. He applied for both UCT and University of Vets. So he managed to get to University of Vets. So got to Rent. He was studying chemical engineering. In his heart, he wanted to do medicine. The reason why he wanted to do medicine, he later told me that it's because I was doing medicine. So he wanted to just do whatever this guy is doing, he just want to follow in my footsteps. And by then, I'm not even a doctor yet. I'm still pushing this young kid. And in 2011, if not 2012 rather, he gave me a call, or rather at the end of 2011, he said, you know what, I've decided I'm going to apply to come to University of Cape Town. I don't want to study in Vets anymore, I want to come to Cape Town. And man, I was excited. And the reason I was excited was not necessarily that he's coming to be close to me. The reason I was excited was that at least he's going to get to see the picture that I've been trying to paint before him all this time. The picture of life outside your normal environment. Just to see a picture of something else. And he managed to come to our university. 2012, he was at UCT. When he got there, he was amazed. He was amazed. He said to me, no, now I understand why you're bending to try and get all the kids from that side to come this side, to at least see life this way. Today, he's a graduate, he's a physiotherapist, and he's working at Carltonville, a private hospital. And he's making some good money. He recently bought his car, and he's quite happy. He's not even married yet, for that matter, which is nice, isn't it so? Yes, but I just want to say that that's my background. And from then, just apart from I've worked with a lot of learners and a lot of students from different facilities. And I thought I should share that story just to give you a background of where I come from and where my passion bends. I just believe that regardless of where you're from, you can be successful. And I hope that's why you invited me today. So can we start? Can we start? Yes. All right. So yes, you can come and assist me. And then you're just gonna be doing the clippings, and we're just gonna go straight into the part. So today, I was asked to talk to you guys on those two things. One, to inspire you, in terms of education, and 2, I'm going to try to shift the goalposts in school culture and quality of education. I'm going to try to shift the goalposts. You see, when, if I can put it, just make a picture clear. You know, when you play football or soccer in the streets, you know, the goalposts are like just a few meters apart, right? But when you go to a stadium, it's quite big, right? But sometimes when you play soccer for too long in that in the streets, you tend to believe that that's how large the soccer field is. But it's actually way larger than that. It's in fact multiple times larger than that. So today I hope to at least stretch that goalpost for you, and at least so that you can see better in terms of quality education and school culture. But I'm going to start with just to try to inspire you as leaders. Just a bit of inspiring you as leaders. So yes, you can go to the next slide. And that's the first session. We're going to just do the inspiring. So I've got rules in my session. And rule number 1 is think. Rule number 1 is think. Yeah. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, think again. So if you're going to be working with me today, and you're going to be listening to me, and you want to attend this program, and you want to get the best of this program, at least think and think again. Think again. And rule number 3, you can think even better. And you know, no, these rules sound simple, but I've grown to realize that the ability to think, or the desire to think, is not in many of us. It's not in many of us, because you know, usually we like to think only when it makes us comfortable, isn't it so? We want to be stretched only to the level of our comfort. We don't like when someone who wants to give us a different perspective come to the picture. Maybe I should just maybe give a thinking exercise before I start. Let me give you a thinking exercise. So let's say, I'll give an example with Mr. Chichivi. If right now, right, we remove Mr. Chichivi's heart and we give him someone's heart, what is his name? He's still Chichivi, right? Okay. Do you know that, you do realize that about 50 years ago, that was not the case, right? If you remove someone's heart, it was as if like that person has completely changed, isn't it so, right? Yeah, so now we remove his heart and we give him another heart, and it's still Mr. Chichivi. So it's still fine, right? We're still comfortable. All right, that's good. So now, Mr. Chichivi somehow accidentally get into a car accident, and we cut off both his legs. Who is he? So he doesn't change. Okay, so even if he doesn't have legs and he's at someone's heart, he's still the same. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. So let us take it even further. Let's say now, for some reason, because now he doesn't have legs, he loses balance, he falls, he fractured both his arms, and they have to be cut off. Who is he? He's still human, right? Okay, so now let's say that because there's technology, we decide to replace his legs. We put some prosthetic legs, just like, you know, Oscar Pistorius, but now more effective ones, and then we also replace his arms, and we put prosthetic arms. So he's still working, everything, and you agree with me that he's still Mr. Chichivi, right? Yes. Okay, that's good. So we're moving together. I think we're going to make a lot of progress today. So then, let us continue, and then we'll say, no way, for some reason, he has lung cancer. Because that's just too much. The lung is just working so hard because of all the exams that he has been having. We remove his lungs and we take Mr. Makwarana's lungs and we put it to Mr. Chichivi. Don't worry, Mr. Makwarana, you're still alive. So yes. And then we give him somebody's lungs. Who is he? Okay, so now you guys know it's very interesting because you keep saying this guy is still the same person, but he just has someone's legs, someone's arms, and he has someone's heart, and he has someone's lungs. And you still call him Mr. Chichibir. Yes. It's very interesting. So now I'm trying to get to who exactly is Mr. Chichibir. All right, so you heard recently we had an operation, right, by Dr. Chiflaro at Steve Big Hospital, right, where they removed the ear and they implanted a whole complete new ear on a child, right? So let's say, for example, he loses his hearing, we remove his ears and we put prosthetic ears. So the ears are made of plastic, right? But they're working, right? So who is he? No, so this guy is still the same, even though more than 50% of his body now doesn't belong to him. I was still agreeing in that. Okay. Is there anyone who's doubting? Okay. No, that's fine. Okay. No, I like this because people are very interesting. So let us continue, right? Now, he happens to have a stroke. When it's a stroke is an accident in the brain, right? They call it cerebrovascular accident. So it's an accident in the brain. When it happens, it affects the right side of the brain. So now when the right side of the brain is affected, usually attention and planning and intelligence is taken away from a person, right? So it's like, no, because the right side of the brain is affected, we're going to remove Mr. Chishiwiri's right side of the brain, right? And we're going to map someone's brain, right? Who was doing the job similar to Mr. Chishiwiri's, right? Who's also a principal and who's also a father and so on. We map that person's brain and we reprint another set of right side brain and put it on Mr. Chishiwiri's head. So now the question remains, who is he?
He's Mr. Chishiwiri. I'm not sure. Someone's thinking.
Someone say he's taking the... Okay, let us see the heads of those who are saying Mr. Chishiwiri. Okay, those who are saying he's no longer Mr. Chishiwiri. Okay, those who are saying that they are not sure, it's just we are not sure. Okay, interesting, right? Now we find that the brain that we just put in is not compatible with the left brain of Mr. Chishiwiri. Now we remove that left brain and you have to reprint another copy of the left brain and put it on his head. Still looks like this, but the brain, we just implanted it. Who is he?
He's whoever owns the brain. I know. The brain's owner.
This is tough, ne?
This is
Now, this exercise is very interesting because it makes us start questioning what is life and who is the person, isn't it so? Because most of the time we consider a lot of things very important to us. But now we are fine with Mr. Chishiwiri losing all his brain and thinking different thoughts, but we still call him Mr. Chishiwiri. So why? Because he looks like Mr. Chishiwiri. Is that why we're calling him? Yes. All right.
It's just the look.
This is very interesting. So Mr. Chishiwiri decided, you know what, I'm growing too old. I don't want to look like this anymore. Right? So now we go for plastic surgery, we remove the skin, and we recreate a white person's face and put it on Mr. Chishiwiri. Who is he?
Mr. Chishiwiri.
So who is Mr. Chishiwiri?
The brain.
Which brain? Because who is Mr. Chishiwiri?
It's dead.
Which brain? Because we removed the brain. We already removed that brain. Who is Mr. Chishiwiri? The one. So he's. Mr. Chishiwiri is who? Which person?
The one that will be seen, the one with the Zamba's brain.
So if we take Nezamba's brain to someone, it loses its identity.
The Zamba's brain and Makwarana's heart.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, this exercise, right? It makes us fact, right? And argue a lot, right? Because it makes us really, really think on the essence of life. Exactly what life is. Because if I can tell you the honest truth, right now, in the current world, already we are imprinting and rechanging the printing of so many other things. Body parts are being changed. Today.
Yes.
Today. Do you know that a child who will live 200 years and above has already been born? Yeah, you look at me, you're laughing, you're like thinking, with all these diseases and all of these things. And the reason is because advancement in technology and science has gone so far ahead that now anything can be replaced. Anything can be mapped out. We can take the fresh shoe, like me for example, at my prime, map my brain and keep storing that map. To a point that if I get Alzheimer's, for example, or dementia, we remember that brain and I still function perfectly fine as a young man. So advancement technology is causing a huge shift in how we see life. When we talk about artificial intelligence, it's a mess. It's a mess. And unfortunately, many of us, we don't know exactly what is happening. And I thought I should say this because recently, I think last year, I attended an advanced leadership academy course in Vets University. And when I was there, we had a certain lady who was teaching us there, Dr. Sharon McPherson. And she works at NASA. And what she was saying to us is that life, the way we know it, will change. I recently read in news today, I think it was today or yesterday, that there's a 12-year-old child who decided that I no longer want to be a boy, I want to be a girl. And they've already changed everything. Now that means our children, for some of us who are young, are at risk of marrying a person who might not necessarily be what they think they are. It's scary, right? Remember the rules of today's session. Think again. You can think better. Now making your brains stretch a bit, right? It's just as an exercise. Now let us go to the matter of the day. Yes. So we're going to do inspiration today, right? And in inspiration, we're going to deal with a lot of matters. But I think the thing that I need to start with is just a story that I read recently from a book by Bill Hybels. And he was just talking about a cartoon. You know, look at an old man writing a book and talking about a cartoon, you get shocked. He was talking about a cartoon, and it's very popular. Of people who watched cartoons long ago, it was quite popular. Of a guy called Popeye. And there's the reason why most people still call cartoons Popeyes. But his name is Popeye. And what that guy had, he had a friend. And what happened is that whenever his friend would be snatched by whatever enemy he had, he would try to hold himself and not fight. Until he gets to a point that he cannot do it anymore. And he had a phrase that he would say. And his phrase would be, I tried to stand, but I can't stand it anymore. And it sounds like, no, that's broken English or whatsoever. But what happened is that as soon as Popeye got to a point in his life that he couldn't stand certain things anymore, he couldn't stand certain things anymore, he started to take action. And I think we need to start asking ourselves a question of, as leaders of schools and as principals and as teachers, what can't we stand anymore? In our current circuit, in the school that you are leading and you are teaching, what is it that you can't stand anymore? I'll tell you what I can't stand as you're thinking about that. If there's one thing that Amazement cannot stand, is mediocrity. I hate it with a passion. If you want to be my enemy, embrace mediocrity. I won't hate you, but I'll hate your suffering so much that when you're with me, you'll just feel like you need to just escape from your body. Because wherever I am discouraging mediocrity at its best. I hate mediocrity. I hate average. It's what I can't stand anymore. That's my part. I just can't stand it. I can't stand average. I can't accept it. And it's a problem because unfortunately when you graduate from university, you go and be placed in a government institution to work. And if there's a place where mediocrity is appreciated and embraced and applauded, it's the government. It's the government. We appreciate, we applaud it. You get 40% like, no, you tried, well done. Isn't it so? And I hate it with a passion. That's why I do what I do, because I hate mediocrity. And I hope you have something that you cannot stand. And I hope whatever you cannot stand is not excellence, because I'm here to talk about excellence. But when it comes to mediocrity, Amazement and mediocrity are enemies. We cannot deal. I can't deal with average, I can't deal with things just going as normal. I recently gave an address at a hospital when we had a function, and it was just 5 minutes address, and I was telling them that, you know what, there's a difference between compliance and excellence. And it was a day or an evening of awarding excellence. And it was just before the awards were given. And I said, there's a difference between awarding excellence and compliance. And right here, most of the people are going to get awarded for complying and not for excelling. You get awarded for teaching, and it's your job. You just comply. You get awarded for going to class. So, no, the person who went to class the most this year is quite, it's your job. There was no, you had to go to class. And that's what we do in our hospital. We say the best maternity team. Obviously, there's one maternity team in hospital. It's obviously going to be the win against who? Best compared to who? So maybe we need to redefine these things that we call best and excellence and so on, and actually call things the way they are, and begin to awarding people for what they're doing. If you are compliant, we should just call our awards compliant awards. Simple. You can't call excellence what is not excellence. So this is just to say that I really hate mediocrity. And I'm telling you, people were not so happy with me after that address. But few people were very happy. I said, no, we need this address in our hospital. But it's going to be tough to do the address to everyone because people love what? Compliance. They want comfortable. So if you came here thinking, no, this young man is going to come and talk to us about something that's going to make us comfortable or laugh, unfortunately, yes, I'm going to make you laugh, but I'm not going to make you comfortable today. I'm not going to make you comfortable today. So the rules, think again, and you can think better. So now, let us go to what we are going to do. And I've got 3 questions in this 6th session. 3 fundamental questions. And if you answer these questions, maybe we can go to the 2nd session. The 2nd session is not guaranteed. I planned for it, I covered it, but it's not guaranteed unless we answer these questions properly. If we fail to answer these questions properly, maybe we shouldn't go to the 2nd session. But we need to answer these questions properly. And the first question, if we go to the next slide, is what on earth do you want? What on earth do you want? Well, you're sitting right here where you are, having come to this meeting, having been attending this program since morning, ask yourself, what on earth do I want? What on earth do I want? As a principal, looking at your school, just ask yourself, what do I want? What am I trying to achieve? What is my goal? What am I trying to get out of these things? What exactly do I want? And you see, we don't like asking this question. But it's funny how we go and plan without asking ourselves this question. How do you plan for something you don't know? How do you say, no, we are busy with strategic planning, but I don't know what you want? Because the planning must start with the question, what do you want? What do you want? What on earth do you want? What on earth do you want? And I want you to think about it properly.
The answer is very simple. I want money.
Yes, no, that's possible. Everyone wants different things. Money, success, and it's okay. But I don't want to hear what you want for a person. I want you to write down what you want for a school. What you want for a class. What you want to achieve. What do you want to achieve? Do you want a bachelor's pass this year? Do you want a diploma pass? Do you want a certain aggregate? Do you want pass rate at a certain level? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? It's a question of vision. What do you want? The end of the day, what do you want? The school, what do you want?
A school.
For the learners, what do you want?
100% pass.
Yeah.
With equality.
Our friend, do you want our learners to pass?
Yeah.
Do you want them to get better opportunities post passing? Do you want them to add value to the community? What do we want? Because you see, there are different types of wants. And what determines what you want is usually the understanding of value that we have. You see, it's easy for right now for a school like Miri, for the principal to look at and sit with the staff and say, I want 100% and I want at least 5 learners representing this school at the national level, and I want at least 10 learners representing us at provincial level. You know why? It's easy for Miri to say that. It's because they've understood the value that they have. Some of us don't understand the value that we have. So our wants are limited. Isn't it so? If you had all the possibilities in the world, what would you want? If you could get anything from your learners, what would it be?
100% plus.
And you see, when we ask ourselves this question, then we have to be able to come to the next question. The next question is simple. Why do you want it? Because the issue of why, it's what will keep us going. The issue of why. Because some of us we want 100%, but we don't necessarily want 100% for the learner's sake. We want it for us. We want it for our glory. We want it to shine. We want to be the ones climbing the podium. We want to be remembered for it. We want it for our legacy. Why? Some of us want to get promotion, isn't it so? So I've been acting as a principal for too long. If I produce these rats, then they will know. We want it for different reasons. Why? Why do you need to be the top second in the district? Why? Why do you need to produce the best learners? Why? And it's a question of purpose. And maybe I should tell you a bit about purpose. Purpose is the original intent of a thing. And purpose is so powerful, that before anything is created, purpose came. Before anything. But if you do anything outside of purpose, it's doomed for failure and without fulfillment. Outside of purpose, there's no fulfillment. If you don't answer the why, no matter even if you get what you want, you may not be happy. Because you didn't answer the why. Purpose. Purpose is so powerful that when God created the world, He first purposed it. That's why, if you study science or whatsoever, you realize that planet Earth is the only planet suitable perfectly well for human life. So it was not an accident that humans were put in Earth. It was designed with a purpose. Everything fitting together just so that humans can be able to thrive and live in it. It's purpose. So purpose designs an environment suitable for what you want to achieve. So whatever you want, the why will cause you to design an environment to make sure that when you get what you want, it's appropriate. Why do you want it? Why do you want to be remembered? So there are two things that I want to share on this part. Is it for output progress and or outcome? So now let me share about output. In our work and in government, which is I think a failure of government, we've really succeeded in embracing output in terms of assessments. And what do I mean output? I'm referring to quantitative results, the numbers. And so when we ask the questions, that the answers you give us is 100%, isn't it so? It's a number, it's easy. It's just no, it's 100%. If I can get all the learners getting 100%, or get 100% pass rate, and at the end of every year, the national government sits down, Department of Education, and says, you know what have you achieved this year? And they don't tell us the quality, they tell us what the quantity. They're going to be telling us 800-something thousand students wrote matric, 600-something thousand students passed, matric, so we have achieved 80% pass, and they just keep giving what? The numbers. And that method has got most of us to think like that. We think about the numbers. As long as I can push numbers. That's why even today, some of us would rather have other learners not write exams because they will affect the numbers. Isn't it? So no, don't write. No, you will write next year. Not necessarily because you want, there's a specific goal that you have for that learner next year. But because if they write, it will affect your numbers. And if it affects your numbers, it will affect your pride. So it has nothing to do with the learner. It's for you. And when they stand you, they make a standing ovation for you. The day you are standing up front, then they say, well done, Mr. Nzama, you achieved 90% pass. You are so proud. Even though you know that you hit the 40%. It's quantitative. It's numbers. It's nice. It's exciting, isn't it so? And the numbers are able to hide us from excuses. Or they actually allow us to hide our excuses, isn't it? With the numbers, it's easy. Now, it's even easy to say no. No. You see, in our school, we had 500 learners in grade 12, 300 passed. That's great. Well, there are 200 people who failed. And 200 lives who could be affected forever. But because our mind is so consumed into the numbers, it doesn't matter anymore, because numbers is just a matter of balancing. Which one is greater than which one? Why do we want it? And output, we like it, people. That's why even in all our programs, when we meet, we discuss what? The numbers. And 2018, ladies and gentlemen, we moved from 50% to 70%. Well, it's good, but it's numbers. And it doesn't tell the whole story. In fact, the world is designed that way. I love research. I'm a researcher. And one of the things that we find in research, the most supported researches are quantitative researches. If you do qualitative, well, very few people want to hear your story. Because numbers are easy. They don't talk. They don't give a story. They're just numbers. They said, no, in the hospital, we saw 5,000 patients. People were like, wow. Oh, well, all those 5,000 patients could have died 3 months later. No one thought about that. Because we're excited about what? The numbers. I was so shocked when I started working. And I realized that in government, when they assess your excellence or your ability to do work, they simply look at the numbers. They don't even care. Let us look at your stats. How many patients did you see? Okay, 400. Okay, good. Okay. No, what was your target? 200. How did the target get set? No, according to how last year you were able to perform. Maybe last year you did 100 or 250. So they just put the target at 200 so that you can achieve. And when you achieve the target, at least you get performance bonus. So you see, it has nothing to do with quality. It's just the numbers. I had a meeting at the other time with the former principal of Mr. Ramgondo. I don't know if you know him. And when I was with him in the meeting, he was saying, you know what? He's so not happy of what is happening to Mbiru Secondary School. He said, what do you mean? He said, Mbiru is no longer producing the quality of results that it used to produce. He said, no, but they're getting number one. I said, yes, they're getting number one. He said, but not everyone is passing. So you see, during our time, and that is during his time, Ramagon, we used to pride ourselves in that 100% of the learners or every learner is passed. Today they pride themselves that no, even if we didn't get 100%, at least we got the most bachelors. Numbers. So the other kids didn't get bachelors, it doesn't matter. It becomes a numbers game. It's output. So why do you want the things you want? Is it for numbers purposes? Is it for output progress? Or rather, is it outcome focused? And Amazement, tell us, what do you mean outcome? An outcome is the qualitative matters. Outcome asks questions and answers questions. Out of the children who wrote your matric, how many of them were able to get university acceptance? That's a tough question. Even the Minister of Education doesn't want to hear that question. Because start pricking into inside to say, no, you're not doing enough. Because we can easily hide. 100% pass. Okay, out of 100% pass, how many learners were able to get to university? Now start, you see now. So, no, say we did so well, since 2010, we've been producing more than 90% pass. Okay, fine. How many of the learners that you produced have added value to the community that they are in? Because education is not a number. Education is an entity that is supposed to improve the quality of life. But somehow we don't assess education on quality of life. We assess it on numbers. As long as we can say, you know what, now in our school, we've produced bachelors and so on. Whether they go to varsity and pass or not. That's why you find that even some schools, some principals choose to cheat. Just to push the numbers. Because quality doesn't matter. What will happen when the child gets to varsity is their own problem. I'm not getting involved. And I think it's about time. I think it's about time that as a group, as leaders, we start thinking of education in terms of quality. Start asking ourselves questions in terms of, but really, from the 700 learners that we've enrolled in our circuit, what kind of quality are we producing? Can we bump into a learner and say, you know what, this learner, the way they're behaving, surely they're from our circuit. Or we can't even tell how the learners from our circuit are supposed to rule like in the community. The world is busy deteriorating. Because yet we have educational institutions. You are teaching every day. You have the biggest opportunity, more than everyone else in the world, to empower the future, to decide how the future is going to look like. And most of you, or some of you, may just be deciding what it will look like now, and that's it. Just get the numbers and get out of the system. But what if it was a child? Those of us who have children will understand the pain of having a child who went to school for 12 years and is staying at home. Having been in class, taught, trusting teachers to teach the child every day of the year, and they come out with a fail. As a parent, it's painful, isn't it? I always laugh, I used to laugh when pastors would organize crusades, and when they organize crusades, you find that their children are not in the crusades. Okay, Muruti, we are playing drums here and we are doing all these things, but your child is not here. And you realize that because they know at that time the child is supposed to be studying. But it only means that way when it comes to their child affected. Or when someone's child, we need them to play the drums. But 4 years later, when the child is graduated, he's the one who inherits the pulpit. Even though he was not in the crusade. And this one who was in the crusade, he's told, no, you didn't study, what are you going to do? Go and look for a job. No, it's life. And I think we'll be at fault as leaders if we don't look at education and compare to what is happening in life. Look at the community around you. Wherever your school is placed, ask yourself, what impact am I adding to the learners in my community, in my school? At least what value will I be adding to the community through the few learners that I have in my jurisdiction? What value am I adding through them? Can I be sure that out of all the learners that have ever passed through my hands, none of them is going to rape someone? Yeah. Because that person who's raping was once someone's student. That kid who's beating someone and killing someone was once someone's student. And somebody probably thought of them as a number. And I'm not going to tell you that you're parents, but I'm going to tell you that you are responsible for how life is going to turn out. If in any community there's a school and you are in charge of that school, that community should not be behaving like there's no education. Now it's tough, no? All the laughing is subsiding. And we're starting to realize that we are not just normal people. We are called to do something that is very important, and sometimes we take it lightly. Because life does not end overnight. That child that you see as a number, it will be a number today, but they still have so many years to live, and they'll be out of your hands. But unfortunately, they might live with the consequences of your neglect. Maybe you want to know. Maybe they will never come to you and say, Mr. Chishiwere, I blame you. You never enforced the standards so much to me. Maybe they will never come to you. But just think about it. Just think for a minute about it. Think of all the learners you have neglected and just think about the kids that you had in your disposal. If you could have just added a bit more value beyond the studies. And that's the issue of outcome. Why do you want the things you want? Do you want them to pass so that at least they can do something out of their own life? Or do you want them to pass so they can get out of our school? Because facing what teachers face today, you can just be like, let him pass and get out of here. And I'll be free of the burden. But man, God has trusted you to be a steward over these souls. 24/6.
7.
Now it's 24/7. Having that child with you, you are their teacher, the role model. Are we really outcome focused? Because if it's outcome focused, even our teaching won't be focused on, no, this is how I teach. No, it will also be thinking, but what can I do to help this learner learn from their perspective? It won't be, no, this is how I've always done it. It always has worked. To be like, but there's something different. What can I do? Outcome focused. Next slide, please. Why do you want it? Now, how bad do you want it? So you see, the gentleman, they say he wants money, right? And I'm telling you, if you ask anyone here if they want money, they will say yes. Isn't it so? We want money, we want success, we want good things, we want great things, we want to be on top, we want to be praised, we want to leave a good legacy. Isn't it so? We want to be remembered for something good. Nobody wants to die and only be remembered because someone went to a grave and somehow went to the grave, they tripped and realized that there's a tombstone and the returned Chishiwere. Like, oh, those ones in Chishiwere who lived. No. No one wants to be remembered like that. People want to be remembered before someone sees their tombstone. They want to know that whatever they're doing, they're leaving good footsteps on a rock. That someone will read afterwards and say, in the years that Mr. Makwarera was leading this institution, these are the results we have, and these are the fruits that we see. And we're still enjoying the fruits even today. We all want greatness, isn't it? Everyone, you go even to the most drunkard person, ask them what do you want, they'll tell you nice things. It's not easy, isn't it so? Just like when you're asking the question, answers will come in. I want money, I want 100%, I want, it's easy to say I want this and this. Believe me, I also want 100% for your school. It's nice. I also want to be remembered. It's nice. You want people to clap hands for you, isn't it so? It's nice. You want to stand in front of people and people applaud you and say, this is the guy, this is the man. We want to be superheroes. We want to be praised. We want to be honored. We want to be sitting amongst great people. We want to do that. We want that. Every one of us want that. And that desire, God has put it in us for us to want to be great. There's nothing wrong with it to be great. God has put that desire in us. But the issue is, how bad do you want to be great? How bad do you want to get the 100% in your school? How bad do you want it? How far are you going to go to get what you say you want? As a teacher, you're teaching mathematics or whatever. How far are you going to go to make sure that you have at least one learner getting 400 out of 400 or 300 out of 300 now, right? 300 of 300 in mathematics. How far are you going to go? How bad do you want the things you say you want? Isn't it, Zamba? The question can come and say, as a second manager, how bad do you want this second to perform? You say you want it to perform good, you want every school to pass more than 80%. How bad do you want it? Because you see, it's okay to want, but not everyone's going to get it. Not everyone's going to get it. Even the school that obtained 0% pass, they didn't want 0%. They will tell you we wanted 100%, we wanted pass, but we got 0. Because how bad do you want it? It's nice to want, but how bad do you want the things you want? How bad are you? How much are you willing to do to pursue what you want? How bad do you want it? Do you really want the success? Because that's what this question asks. It says, do you really, really want it? You say you want the money. Do you really, really want the money? Because if you really want the money, maybe you wouldn't be doing the things you do. Isn't it? If you really want success, maybe all you'll be doing will be about success. Some of us will say one certain things. It's like a person says, I want to lose weight, but they never do anything to lose weight. Well, you want it, it's good, and there's nothing wrong. But it does. You have to want it so bad. And I know, I've gone through that time. I said, I want to lose weight, but I don't want that. But when it's cold, I don't want to go and run. I'm like, no, this running thing. So in fact, the Bible says that only a fool runs when no one is chasing them. So why would I be running? And that's the thing. That's the thing about success. When you don't want it that bad, you come up with excuses. Isn't it so? You say I want it, but it's raining. I want it, but these learners are misbehaving. I want it, but the teachers are not motivated. I guess that's what we say as principals. Say, I want it, but this bad teacher who's influencing everyone else against me. Now it becomes about you. Say, I want it, but there's witchcraft in that village. Man, you teach, but those kids just don't understand. It's like there's something that is put in their ears. And you can even reference cases, isn't it so? To make ourselves feel better. Say, no, I remember one time there was a snake that was found at the entrance of the school. Very big snake. And you tend to take all these excuses and make them mean so much for you because you don't want it that bad. But when you want something so bad, the actions you take, my friend, it doesn't matter whether there's witchcraft, whether there are snakes, whether there are demons, whether there's a devil, you will keep pushing. It doesn't matter whether the teachers are motivated or not. Let me give you a simple example of, keep making an example of Miru. But in Miru, have you realized that every 10 years in Miru, every few years, they keep changing teachers. They keep changing teachers. They keep having an overall of teachers. Having teachers go to other schools to be principals, to teach in other schools, and so they keep having a change. But they keep producing good results. Why? How come they're able to produce good results even though they keep changing teachers? We thought they were good in maths because they had Mr. Malibo, but Mr. Malibo left, and then Mr. Sikita came who had never taught maths, and so they're still doing good in maths. What's happening? How bad do you want it? Some of us are full of excuses. We want money, isn't it so sad? But we have excuses of why we cannot get it. We say, no, I tried with Naisha. Yeah, that's what we do. We have an explanation of why we couldn't. But as a second, you have to decide today, how bad do you want the things you say you want? Think of your school. How bad do you want the results of the thing you want? Think of the quality we're talking about. How bad do you want the children that you're teaching to come out with value? How bad do you want them? Because when you want it so bad, you'll find every way possible to make sure that it happens. There's a cartoon a small book that I read to my son every day. And it's quite interesting because it's about 3 girls. And outside is titled, I Am Tired. And when you read, it's a few pages, 2 or 3 pages just of kids who are saying, I'm tired. And as I read, I realized that in that story, there are 3 characters. Those kids went out to play. When they wanted to play, it began to rain. Or rather, before it began to rain, they were tired. And they say, we need Mama to come and fetch us. Because we are tired. And while they were staying there so tired, and not wanting to go waiting for Mama to come and fetch them, it began to rain. When it rained, it began to have thunderstorms. Now, because of the pressure of the rain and thunderstorms, the kids stood up and ran home. So when they got home, they realized that they were not tired. They were just comfortable and lazy. Is it possible that sometimes we're not pushing ourselves enough as teachers and principals because we're just too comfortable? Because we don't want it that bad enough, it's like, I want it, but I'm too tired. I want it because I'm stressed. I want it, but these teachers. But there must be pressure enough. I'm telling you, if the government comes today, or district, wherever the people you fear, come to your school. I know people fear people from district. Yesterday I went to a school and I was doing a presentation to some of the principals there for our adoption program, and the teachers and the principal said, you know what, wait for us a few more minutes. There are district people, they've been here the whole day, even for provision. It's stressful today. So when pressure comes, we can stretch. And let me tell you, you can stretch far beyond you think you can. But it's about how bad you want it. It's a question of commitment. And let me tell you about commitment. Commitment is not what you do today. This one is just, we are launching. We're going to do well this year. We're going to live here. We're going to do great things. We're going to achieve 100%. We're going to live here motivated, right? But then, 3 months down the line, there's no longer that fire, and now that's what we need, commitment. Commitment. Then you get someone to come and speak to the teachers and they move forward, and then still there's no that fire. We need what? Commitment. Because commitment is why we see commitment when it becomes the hardest to do things right. Right moment when you say it's about time for you to quit, commitment will say keep going. And the greatest example of commitment that I see is in the Bible when you have the man Jesus Christ, and he had committed to give himself to die, right? And he would even brag about it and tell his disciples, no, I'm going to die. This is my purpose, I'm going to die. But the day came, and when that day arrived, then we saw the challenge of commitment. So, okay, no, yes, you are God and all of these things. Now you have to commit to letting your life go. And we hear from the Bible that he was busy wrestling with himself. He even came to a point where he said, God, you know what, it was possible. I know this purpose can go to someone else. No, I don't think I'm ready. And that's the challenge of commitment. As you're going to be pushing this, let me not lie to you, it's going to get tougher. Especially when you have purpose, it's going to get tougher. When you have direction, it's going to get tougher. But commitment must keep you going. You must be able to say, no, even if I feel like giving up like Jesus, again like Jesus said, but not my will, let your will. So this time for us, we say, no, not my will, but let the will of what we committed to first progress. We must keep pushing, even if we don't feel like pushing. We must keep working, even if we don't feel like working. Even if the kids may look at us and swear at us and say things, we know because we can see their future. And we'll keep pushing them until we see them fit to the picture that we have of their future. We won't give up on them. Just like you can't give up on your own child. I mean, we all know our children. The mistakes they make and the disappointments they bring to us, and we're like, you know what, I'm tired of this child. But it's your child. It's your child, and you will never give up on them. So may we do the same thing this year. Commitment. How bad do you want? The question of your quitting threshold. What will it take for you to quit this year? On the plan that you guys are going to come up with, I don't know what plan you're going to come up with. On the plan that you're going to come up with the Jeshivin, what will it take for you to quit? No, what will it take? Pressure, lack of money, lack of support, lack of participation. What will it take for you to quit on this idea and this vision? What will it take? The teachers talking to you in a funny way. What will it take? Principals not submitting their things to you, Ms. Nedzamba. What will it take for you to quit? Because I'm telling you, you can quit.
Yeah.
Let me know you can quit and it's fine. Because the only one who will know that you quit is you. You're the only one who's going to live with the consequences of your quitting. And you have to make a choice. What is my threshold of quitting? Man, at some point, I mean, I'm young, but I've had moments where I say, no, I'm done. I'm done with this life thing. No, I'm done. Like, I'm done. Call my mentor, say, no, I'm done with this thing. I just want an accident now. If an accident can happen to me, I'll be so happy. Because I'll just die and God, boom. And like, I'm done with this thing because I just can't get it anymore. I don't know what to do anymore. Because those feelings keep coming, but you must have something that say, keep going. Move your threshold of quitting. You're going to quit at the first failure. My friend, let me not lie to you, you're going to keep failing. And there's nothing wrong with failing, it's good. So keep going, even amidst the failure. What's going to make you quit? Don't tell me lack of resources. No. There are learners who, I mean, some of your schools are the best schools. I've been to bad schools. I've been to really, 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 really bad schools. Schools where there are 6 teachers. For the whole school, not for one class. And you're thinking, man, how do you teach grade 8 to grade 12 with 6 teachers? How do you push progress with 6 teachers? How do you do that? And it's tough. But you know what? Those schools, I work with them and they still are able to produce more than 80% pass. I've worked with that school for 3 years and every year they produce more than 80% pass rate. Last year they produced 85% pass, even with no teachers. And you have a surplus of teachers. 6 is not, your grade 12 is more than 6 teachers. One teacher has 1 subject, 1. Other teachers have to teach from morning, from grade 8 to grade 12. How do you move your mind around with all of those complicated things? So you have to be willing to work even without the resources. You're not working for the government, you're working for the future of those children. You have threshold of quitting. Sacrifice. What are you going to sacrifice, my friends? That's painful, ne? You don't want to sacrifice, ne? That's why no one is laughing anymore. Everyone is sad. It's like we're at a funeral now. Someone has died. Sacrifice. I want to tell you just a few things to sacrifice. I'm going to challenge you to sacrifice that this year. Number 1, pride. Sacrifice your pride. Because man, we have a tendency to be proud. Too proud for correction. Too proud to ask for help. Too proud to ask for forgiveness. We are too proud. And sometimes pride is the reason why we don't move forward. I've spent time with a number of principals, and one of the challenges is that the teachers don't want to cooperate. And one of the reasons for that is pride. Because, you know, I'm more qualified than the principal. Why should I listen to this guy? In fact, he got the job because he's from this village. And you have all these reasons, but the pride does not pay. So we have to sacrifice our pride. Sacrifice bad negative attitude. It's not about you. I think I must put it clearly now. It is not about you. You must even write it there in your paper that it is not about me in capital letters. And if possible, every morning before when you're in your office, if you have an office at your work, write it there at the door. It is not about me. So that when we call you and someone is calling you and requiring documents or requiring to do your work, just remember it is not about you. It's not personal. It's not personal. Otherwise you'll make the working environment unfriendly. It's not personal. We want you to produce the best results. And you must be willing to sacrifice your own personal attitude. Number 3, you're going to sacrifice your comfort. Doing things only that suits you, suits your time, suits your, your specialty, the things we want, suits your timing, it suits your class, suits what you expected. We're going to get away from that. We cannot improve in comfort. I need to repeat that. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot improve in comfort. We cannot. If it was so, my friend, many birds will be flying. There are birds who will never fly because of comfort. When their mothers took them out of the nest, they enjoyed the warmth of the nest too much. Say, no, I'm still comfortable. You can go take other birds. I'm fine. And sadly, they died in the nest. So you can easily end your legacy being just a number because you're too comfortable. So sacrifice your comfort. You can't always do things in your own preferable way. My friend, I work in an environment where comfort is not very nice. And I don't do things the way I want them all the time. Sometimes I have to examine patients with a phone because we don't have machines to look at them. It's not comfortable, it's necessary. I'm a specialist, so since I started working in this province, I've never had one machine for my work. One machine, but I work, I see patients every day. Comfort is gone. I have a full right to not go to work and sit there and say, I have no resources. And no one's going to blame me. A patient can come to me and say, and I tell them, I don't have machines, or I don't have equipment, go. And no one's going to blame me because I don't have. But it is not about me. That person left home, took their money, last money to take a transport, walk all the way to my hospital to be seen by me. Having hope that if this guy sees me, I might be better. So I must do everything possible from my power to get that person to feel better, even if I don't have the machine. So I've learned to examine patients without machines and I'm doing very well at it. Very, very well. To a point that if I get to work in a place where there are machines, I look at that, some people find it fun. How are you working without a machine? Why aren't you using this? No, don't worry, I already know what's the problem. You see, because comfort has a way of keeping you from learning and from growing. Right now, you can work in any country in the world. There are people who cannot work because they're waiting for a machine. Because I have skills that they don't have. I developed them. Wow! Because I didn't have the machine. So stop looking for things to make you comfortable. It is not about you. Sacrifice comfort, go do the work. How bad do you want it? So we want meetings, to only happen when I'm comfortable. You know that those people don't have calling meetings and it only has to happen in their time. So it's lunchtime between this time. Okay, say I will have it after. No, I'll be doing this. Okay, fine. No, I have my own schedule at this time. So everything has to maneuver around you. I hope that attitude ends. And you become leaders who are true leaders. Last thing, how bad do you want it? The question of strength, of endurance. Can we really endure? Being put under pressure, being strained, and being squashed, and being grinded. Mr. Chichibi, the teacher stepping on you, squeezing you on every side. Mr. Zamba, when principals are not complying at all, are you going to endure? How many of you drink wine? Just a question. How many of you drink wine? It's okay, it's not a crime. Oh, no one drinks wine here. Wow. Who drink wine? Oh, you do drink wine, right? Yes. So, when wine is, I don't drink wine, right? But I just want to say, for wine to be made, it needs crushing to happen on the grapes. Grapes were just going to be good, being nice and comfortable in the tree. And no one was going to pay as much as they're paying for wine until grapes went through the crushing. So you must be willing to go through the crushing. You want people to pay you for what you do, to go through the crushing. You want people to recognize you as the best teacher in the country, in the world, go through the crushing. If you want things to happen only to your comfort, my friend, you're not going to make it. It's fine, we can only appreciate you at your school and you'll remain there. But if you want to be able to do things and make impact beyond your school, be willing to go through crushing and enjoy it. Enjoy it. Man, I remember when I started working. Have you ever been treated unfairly for doing good work? You know how it feels, right? When people are treating unfairly just because you're doing good. When I moved to work in the Trikar Hospital, I had a lot of patients that had left in Donald Fraser because I was working in Donald Fraser Hospital. And so, from my heart, I knew I'm the only one who do what I do this side of the province. I said, no, I can't leave those patients by themselves. Every month, I'm going to make a visit to Donald Fraser to see my patients on my own petrol for free, nothing else. I don't need government to pay me for working twice. Pay me once a lot, but I'm going to do that. They called me for a meeting to stop me to doing good. And it was very problematic to me. I mean, how can you? I'm doing work, it's my petrol. What is the problem? I don't have a lot of patients in this hospital. I just started. I still have tons of patients that said they don't even want to treat. Can I just go? Those people are driving from 4 hours all the way to Donald Fraser Hospital to be seen by me. When I get there, I find a huge queue waiting for me to see them. And people are stopping me because of their pride. And it was painful, but I had to enjoy, and I stopped. Because that's what they required. So no, you are hired in this hospital, you're going to work in this hospital to do what we want in this hospital. So, but we don't have patients. It doesn't matter. Painful, eh? So now I have to have those patients, some of them call me and I have to go see them in my private practice for free. You see, it was just a mess. But you have to be willing to go through endurance in order to be fine wine. How bad do you want it? Next question. Mr. C. Now, what are you going to do about it? Yes, we understand you want all these things and you want to enjoy stuff, but what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Now I'm going to leave you to sit there, make many discussions amongst yourself. Take a few minutes break and you're just going to think in your own space. What are you going to do to get the best results that you want? And think about it before I tell you what you could do. Because I have a good track record of helping institutions produce the best results. So I know how, or I have at least good experience on how to get the best results. But I want you at least to think about it. Because now that you want it this bad, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to get the best results? What are you going to do to add value to the learners around you? I have a solution, but I want you to think. Because remember what our 3 rules: think again, and you can think better. And I can tell by the way you're sitting here that your brains are already burning. Because this young gentleman has been squeezing you and making you uncomfortable. Because I'm sorry, they didn't tell me to come and applaud you, ne? And they didn't tell me to come and make it. Yeah, that's what I do. I told you I hate mediocre. Just get up. Just get up. Let me give you the last story before we take a break. How many of you know a peach? A peach. Peach. Yes, we know a peach, right? How many of you have seen the seed of a peach? The seed, that shell thing, you have seen it, right? Have you ever tried to crush it? How hard is it? Sadly. Who has ever crushed it open once? Is anyone here who has ever crushed it open? It's hard, ne? So now, do you know that for that peach seed to produce a tree, there is a soft seed inside that must break through that wall. The one that you struggle to break, even with your own foot and everything, and all your weight and all of this, you will struggle to break that seed. But that soft seed inside is able to break through that wall and produce a peach tree. Why? It's nature, eh?
It is that the egg the seed expand from the inside.
Yes, the power is inside. No matter how much pressure we put on that thing to happen, it's so hard. Until inside that soft thing desires to say, I'm gonna push through this wall. Even if it's not easy, even if it's against me, I'll push through it. What you couldn't break, that tiny soft thing broke through it. And today we eat peaches. So I hope as you think of what you're gonna do, also be thinking of what will break from within you. Produce the best. Let us take a break. Is that all right? All right. Give a hand of applause to yourselves. And we'll come back in around, I think, I'm still very much well on time, so 15 minutes. And we're going to be fine. And I want my answers. Then when we come back. Okay.
The train is getting off to another station now. So I hope you are all in. So let us once more give our doctor time to continue. So over to you, Dr. Nemangan. You may proceed.
So I'm short. Can I use this instead of... It's okay without a jacket, right?
Yeah.
You still accept me as a person. I'm still amazement. If Mr. Chishiwiri remains Mr. Chishiwiri with someone's brain, then it might as well. Can I say by show of hands who are the head of institutions, the principals? No, I just want to see who are the principals so that I can be able to talk to principals directly. Do you mind just introducing yourselves to me? Eh? I know you know each other, but just to me, from the principal right on my file left.
I'm Mr. Nemora, the principal of Chamakwati Secondary School.
Chamakwati?
Yes, at Amavunga.
And Ramon?
At Amavunga village.
I thought maybe you were principaling to schools. Yes, next.
Mr. Segudu MT, principal of Chirogon Secondary School.
Principal of?
Chirogon.
Chirogon.
At Benny village.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mrs. Ravel from Chuma Secondary School.
Sorry?
Mrs. Ravel from Chuma Secondary School.
Sweet.
Okay, Miss Mampasa from Untitled Secondary School.
Pararam Kundiredi, principal of Secondary School.
Mafera MS from Yatema Primary School.
Did you say primary school?
Yes.
Okay.
Chishibiri Andy from Gondolika.
Mukwebo MS from Ruberan Secondary School.
Mubar.
Mukwebo
Mukwebo.
MS from Ruberan Secondary School.
Mumera. There's a principal somewhere.
Mama didn't it. Takaran.
Chakarani, that is school.
Takaran is my name.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Verelambeo Secondary School.
Where?
Verelambeo.
Verelambe. Oh.
I'm the principal there.
Mr. Ramuda, NC, the principal of Dimbanyika.
Dimbanyi.
Yes.
Secondary school. It's a principal somewhere.
The principal of Mazilan Primary School.
Oh, so it's your school as well.
It's my school.
Next principal. From?
Primary School.
Mukuape to primary school.
She's covered. We were from Mandiwana Primary School.
And the one primary school.
Mr. Bumbi AC from Matanga Primary.
Matanga Primary School. Okay. I did well by asking for these introductions. Now I know they are primary school teachers as well. So it's good.
It's good.
Principals, right? Yes. Just the principals, right? That's good. There's hope. There's hope for us. So yes, we're going to start with the next section. I gave you a homework, right? More like, hey, this is not home, but it's a piece of work. So it says, what are you going to do about it? So what do we find? Maybe I should ask the teachers, because and anyone who didn't lift up their hand is a teacher. So I think these are very, yes, sir. What are you going to do about it?
Caught him off guard.
Now you're feeling big and learner. Off guard. Yes. You're still thinking. Remember what are the rules for this meeting? You're thinking. Yes. Yes. You are still thinking. Wait, why does it sing? I think we have a problem. Yes.
I would like that and pray.
And pray. Yes, I like that one. Yes.
I will die for it.
You're gonna die for it. So we must be preparing. I hope if you know any funeral companies, you can register this year. I think there's a good, I mean, imagine 80,000 would be nice. Yes, educators, yes. What are we going to do about it? You're going to work hard. That's good. Yes, sir. What are we going to do about it? You're going to sacrifice. Okay, very interesting. Yes, sir. You work hard. You know what is interesting, isn't it? It's very interesting when you put teachers in a learner's position. Now they realize how it feels to be a learner and being pointed and having someone expect an answer from you. But I just realized that the teachers are playing learners as well today. Because they're giving me answers like learners give, you know. No, say, I'm still thinking about it. You can go to the next person, say. So maybe we shouldn't blame our learners when they behave the way we just behaved, isn't it? But also another thing that you could have noticed is that when everyone was giving the responses were quite interesting, quite common. Simple, I'm going to work hard. I will die for it. I will sacrifice. It sounds good, no? It sounds very good, right? It's also not specific.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And the thing about when we say we're going to do things and they're not specific, I mean, how do we measure that you're working hard? How do we measure that you're going to die for it? I mean, unless you die. I mean. How do we measure that you're going to sacrifice? Do you understand what I'm getting at? Because let me tell you, right? I mean, in my experience, I hope the teachers that are brought here are also the teachers that I think they are. The teachers who are performing well, right? And the principals as well. In my experience, what we have is that we have people who say, you know what? We are failing in our school. We are not getting the results we want, but we are working hard. How many can say, no, I've been working hard, but the results are not coming out? Now you can lift up your hand. Don't have to share. It's good. It's important to say. You've been working hard, right? But the results are not coming. And I'm telling you, it's a common thing. It's a common thing to say, I've been working hard, but I'm not getting that thing that I'm working hard for. It seems like it's not coming. In fact, that's a testimony of a lot of people in life. They say, you know what, I've done so much, you know, I've been doing everything I could to become rich or whatever they want to become, but it's not coming to fruition. And the reason is because we don't answer that question properly. What are you going to do about it? What exactly are you going to do about it? Working hard, yes, it's a good answer, but it's not specific. It's not specific enough. Sacrifice, yeah, is not specific enough. And what I thought I was going to get Well, I thought I was going to find people with graphs and, diagrams to explain, I'm going to do this and then this and then this and this, and I'm going to apply this strategy and so on and so on. But we're not even there yet. We're still on a very, generalized view of thinking to say, I'm just going to work hard. But you see, if I live here today and the only message you have from me is that you should work hard, then I think I would have failed. Because anyone can come and do that to you. Anyone can come here and tell you, go work hard. And you will work hard according to you. I mean, let me reverse things and make you think of yourself as a teacher. Because now you're thinking of yourself as learners. Think of yourself as a teacher. Think of a student in your class who's not performing well. But when you ask them what's the problem, they tell you that they're working hard. You see them, right? Yes. Doesn't it confuse you a bit? And sometimes it makes you wonder if you should believe that student. Isn't it so? Because you say, but really now, you say you're working hard, but the results are not showing you're working hard. Because we have this perception that all we need is to work hard, to push. But what does it mean? And that is why, again, that first part, it was to stretch you a bit. But now I want to deal with the things of what are we going to do about it. But I'm going to talk about it. And in the invitation that I got, second objective that I found, was that I must find a way to help you guys restore culture, a school culture and a positive school culture and quality education or teaching and learning. And when you restore something that was once there, right? Isn't it so? You cannot restore what was not there. So, from my understanding, it seems you guys have been performing well, or you've been doing well, and then boom, something happened. And then right now, we are at this level where we say, no, we need to restore the quality that we're at. Is that where we are? Or rather, we're at a position where we say, wait, to be honest, we have not really had a hang on this thing. So it's not necessarily that we need a restoration, but maybe we need a restructuring. Maybe we need to re-look at these things in a new way. Maybe we need to see things anew than the way we're seeing them. Maybe we need to work in new strategies so that we can get the best results. And before I go through with you on some of the fundamentals that I'm going to teach you today, I'd like to say that 2 years ago I started a program, and that's a school adoption program. And in that program, what we do is that we basically, if we say we adopt a school, we adopt a school and they can give us a space in terms of, or parameters in terms of you can only adopt grade 12 or grade 10, 11, 12 or whatever class. So when we adopt that group of learners, what we do is that we equip those learners and we equip the teachers of that particular school and educators and principals in terms of how to exactly improve their results. And you think, no, you were never a teacher. Yes, I was never a formal teacher like you guys. But one thing about me is that I was not always very smart in terms of output. My mathematics was bad. I remember my first mark in grade 12 of mathematics was 3. That's funny, eh? Yeah, it was that bad. My second mark was 5. So progress was not there. And I was working hard. I was sacrificing. But it was not producing the results. My third mark was 7. So now you can start to imagine already. So if this guy is getting 7, and it's March, and he wants to be a doctor, how does 7 translate to this guy coming to this position? And what I realized is that I was really struggling with matters that the teachers didn't need to teach me. I thought I was studying, but I wasn't. I thought I was learning, but I wasn't. And that's what drove me to be able to start this program, because even then from 7 I got 100%. Wonderful. And that was it. I started shooting and enjoying mathematics, and it was like easy. Now it was like food, teach and so on. But what brought me from 7 to 100% is some of the systems or some of the principles that I apply when we adopt schools. And what we do is not tutoring. What we do is equipping learners, one, with the skills on how to learn. And we equip teachers with skills on how to effectively teach. And when we get the whole team together, we find a way on how to manage cooperation between the entire SMTs, the teachers, the school governing body, and the parents, and just to get everyone involved in this children to be able to produce the results. And I must say that, in these schools that have been adopted and the learners that we've adopted, we have worked quite well and have produced good results. And last year, I was quite proud, and I was getting contacted by people that I had invited to a program that we had for some of the learners that we had adopted. And in that program, it was just a program about, we call it high capacity learners empowerment. So we're busy empowering learners who are at high capacity functioning. So I invited a few friends of mine from, one from ESCOM and one from a civil engineering company in Joburg. So they were busy talking to those learners. And when the results came out of grade 12, the guys were sending me photos and saying, no, hey, I remember this kid, he was at your session. And these are the kids that we had worked with. And one of them is, if you remember, what's her name? Cheritzi Mamad. Remember Cheritzi Mamad? Have you heard that name? She was a second top learner in the province and third top learner in national from BA, right? And she's one of the learners that we had adopted. And so in our work, we're able to pull people up to compete not only at the school level or district level, but also to that level. And it's good to produce results. So before I teach, I want you to understand that I'm going to be sharing with you something that I have good experience about and I've quite proven. And I'm just working on every program or on many students as possible to push the results. Last year, for example, we adopted a few kids. They were not in the school. They were left school, the school that they were in during, when the school went out, they came to visit my house to say, we just want you to adopt us. It was in August. Say, trial is starting in 3 weeks' time. Whatever you tell us, we will do. Now that's quite pressure, eh? They said, no, bring your results. So they brought the results from the beginning of the year, and all of them had been failing from January. Everything. And now they want me to perform miracles. And I said, no, it's fine, bring it on, let's take a challenge. Told them what to do, gave them some few disciplines and worked with them. And man, they passed. 2 of them got a diploma, 1 of them got a bachelor, and the one who got a bachelor is now registered doing law at Univen, and then the 2 others, one is going to military training and the other one is upgrading results from total failure. So our program is proven, and I'm just saying that so that when I teach, at least you try to take the things that I'm going to say and hopefully you can implement them. And if you cannot, you can hire me, but I'm very expensive. So yes, let us deal with the first part of this section. What are we going to do about it? Now, this matter that we're going to deal with now is quite intense and serious. Transforming school culture. I won't say restoring because I don't think we need to restore it. I think we need to transform. And the word transform is from the word metamorphosis, right? Those of us who teach in primary school, we teach metamorphosis in general science. Or whatever, I don't know. Back then it was general science, I don't know what we call it now.
Natural science.
Even in primary school, natural science. Yes, metamorphosis. And that is in teaching the process from where a butterfly moves from being a web into a butterfly. It's quite an intense process, and you're thinking, how does a web which is crawling move from crawling to flying? And so that's transformation. That's the word transformation, metamorphosis. So today, we hope we can at least share a bit of some of the principles that can get school culture to be transformed from worm level to butterfly level. And I hope when I come visit your school, if you happen to hire us, then I will find you flying. If I find you as a worm, don't worry. The time will come to fly, and we will fly. So what is culture? If I can ask, any one of you. Lady with a Satu t-shirt, what is culture?
Let me think first.
Yes, you are allowed to think. These are the rules of this meeting. Yes. Culture is the way of doing things. Culture. What is culture, Madam Principal?
The way of doing things in a cultural way.
No, we're very smart learners in this room. Very smart learners. The way of doing things in a cultural way is a definition of culture. Yes, sir. What is culture?
No, my original answer was the one the way of doing it.
Okay, so what's your imitation answer?
I just feel it has already been answered many times. What is that one? The way of doing it.
Also, you are keeping to your original answer. You are not taking the cultural way of doing things. So you refuse the Madam Principal's guidance.
Not actually refusing.
So culture, typically people say it's the way of doing things. Yes.
That which you are known by.
For that which you are known by, it's culture. Okay. Yes.
I think it's a way of living attached to norms and values.
Way of living attached to norms and value. I like that.
Or being used to do something, doing things your own way, on your own pattern, or the way things are.
The way you are used to doing things.
Yeah.
It's culture. Anyone wants to give any input on culture? Yes, it is. And the dictionary definition says that it's an umbrella term which encompasses the social behavior and norms found in human societies, as well as the knowledge, beliefs, arts, laws, customs, capabilities, and habits of the individuals in these groups. That's culture. Now, a culture of any institution or any individual, any organization, a culture of any school, is what determines the perception of that institution toward anything. How you see things. Culture is like specs, if I can put it that way. You know your spectacles. They determine how you see things, right? If we have shaded spectacles, you see things as shaded. Even though they are not shaded, but because of what you're wearing. But now imagine having those spectacles being invisible. And that's what we have with culture. It's there, but it doesn't shout, I am culture. Culture doesn't walk around and say, hey, this is me, I'm culture. But it determines how we see things. It determines how we react to things. It determines what we value and what we don't value. It determines the default of things. So if you're thinking of a default level of your school, that's your culture. Not talking about the behavior that you put up because of certain visitors. I'm talking about the default. And maybe I should specify or help you understand what a default is. So, anything functions at its default, right? And then, in the environment of circumstances that are not favorable or super favorable, it can come out of that default. But as soon as those circumstances disappear, it returns back to the default. And that's what we see at schools. Every school you go to has a default setting. When the President of South Africa visits your school, Mr. Principal, your school will behave and will be in a certain level of functioning. But that is not its default. That behavior, you can direct it, you can coordinate it, you can even plan at the security gate, you'll find this person dressed this way, you can even plan on every teacher will come on time, you can even plan or the classes will be designed this way, everything will be ordered. But as soon as the president leaves, without anybody telling anyone what to do. What happens is that you switch. And you make a default. Watch your schools during studies time. The period where you say, no, this is the period for learners to study. Walk around the school. You'll find that when the teacher is not there, in some schools, not in all schools, in some schools, it's a loud noise. But as soon as the principal decides to walk in the corridor, then there's a certain calmness and just the sound of paper. Right? And as soon as the principal passes, culture resumes the default setting. It doesn't shout that, hey, this is me, but it's there. No one told the learners whether to keep quiet or not. No one told the learners that, no, this is time to shout. It is their culture. One day, I'm giving you a challenge. You're going to go back to your schools Monday. Walk around your school. Just decide to observe the behavior first. Let's say principal, whatever time, if you arrive early as a principal, that's good. Arrive, because I know not everyone principal arrives early. So arrive early, be in your office, decide that no, today you're not going to stay in the office. You just want to observe your school culture. Firstly, observe the teachers. How they arrive, how they are dressed, how they carry themselves, and if they're excited for work. Then observe the learners. How the learners are behaving, how they get into class, how they behave when they're around each other, how they behave at the moment they go into class. Just observe all of that. And then observe as the first period goes on, and the second period. Start seeing what is happening with the movement of the principal. Just sit as a principal. Just sit, take a paper, and start taking notes. So, okay, in every class, just check what time are teachers going to class? What time are they leaving? How long does it take before one teacher, after a period, for one teacher to leave the class that he was in and for another teacher to come in? Just check throughout. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, you will find that there's a higher possibility that all your teachers and principals and learners are behaving the same. You'll find that if there's lateness in coming to periods, you'll find that 90%, if not 100% of the teachers are all arriving late to their classes. And you'll find that when the period is over, their behavior is the same in every class, whether it's grade 8 or grade 12, the same. It's culture. It doesn't shout, hey, I'm culture, but it's there. And I'm telling you, like what we do, you can invite me to your school, ask me to motivate your school. I'll motivate. As soon as I leave, there'll be a change for 2 days, and then the default will take back. And you'll think, no, but that guy didn't do much work. No, we need him more and more and more. No, the problem is that it's not the motivation. The problem is not the inspiration. The problem is not anybody. The problem is culture. Our default setting. Maybe let me bring it to your life. Personally, think about you. Think about your default culture. I know today you are in your most best behavior. So now think about yourself. Alone, every day going to school or going to work, when you get to your office and going back. Think about your behavior. You will realize that without thinking, you do the same things. A simple question. Which shoe did you put on first this morning? Was it the left or the right? You don't know, right? Exactly. But if I tell you now to take off your shoes and to put them back on, you will realize that you do the same things every day when it comes to wearing your shoes. Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you another question while we're sitting here. What did you do first when you wake up? Did you brush your teeth? Took a bath, or greet your spouse? What did you do first when you woke up from bed today? And that thing that you did, there is a higher chance that that's exactly what you do every day without thinking. You can't help it. Even if you will wake up very sleepy, you will find yourself doing this, going the same way, sleeping, to behave the exact same way. default setting. Now, what we want from the question 1 of our first session talk, what we want is good results, isn't it so? Positive results, great quality results, learners performing well, all of these things, teachers coming to classes, all of these great things, 100% pass. But what we get is not always that. Why? Because no matter how hard you work, if you don't transform the default, you want to make any changes. We can come to Chipiso, even take you to the Ranch Hotel, or even take you to the one and only in Cape Town, or the Westin Hotel in Cape Town. The most beautiful space, give you the best motivators, even higher motivators that charge around 70,000 per hour to speak to you. My friend, when you go back to your school or to your work, you are more likely after a week to go back to a default. It is not the motivation that is causing the problem. It is not the lack of motivation that is causing the problem. What I want to submit to you this afternoon is that what is causing the problem is our default settings. And we need to transform that default setting. When you transform that default setting, then automatically you don't wake up and do what you used to do. Now okay, let me give you an example. If every day you come late to school, right? It's your default, it's coming late. Coming early is a mistake. It's true, right? It's like even when you come in, everyone was shocked, like, oh wow, you are here. What happened? Because you always come late, it's your default, right? But when we change the default and the default becomes early, coming late once won't even affect you, because the coming late is the what? Is the mistake. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yes. So we correct the default so that the wrong one can be the what? The mistake and not the default. But when the default is wrong, then the right becomes the mistake. Does that make sense? I understand what I'm trying to say. Second manager, do you understand me? I'm not confusing you. So we correct the default. We must transform the school culture. Go to, okay, let me just ask you, which schools do you know which are performing best in our district?
In our district?
Yes, Petramanu, Tengwe, you said Mbiri? No, our district, like Bembe district, it's a general, not Bembe East, Bembe was just our Tengwe. And people laugh. I guess that already answers it. It's what?
Is it 87 or a distinction?
At
87%. Is it?
No, it is. It is good. It is good. So, you guys are telling me all these schools, including Jimbani, right? Are the schools that are performing well, right? Now, second manager, I want to challenge you today. Go visit these named schools. Just take a walk. There's one they say, today I don't want to talk to the principal or have a discussion with, I'm not here for a meeting. I'm just here for observation. Visit. Just spend a week. If you think maybe day one they're pretending, spend a week. And after a week, go and visit which are the least performing schools that you know. Anyone that you can think of in your mind. Or you don't want to step on people's... I don't know what code city. Okay. Let's say Chime was the one that was Chime, right? It didn't perform so well this time, right? Alright, now go visit it. I'm saying just observe. I didn't say meet a principal or discuss anything. Just observe. And you will realize that it makes sense why certain schools are at the top and certain schools are at the bottom. It is not an accident. It is not. It's the default setting. It's a default setting. I want you to, that one you must even write it down. It is not an accident where you are. It is not. There is no witchcraft. There is no witchcraft. So the sooner we realize that it is not an accident, it's intentions, it's things that we do daily, is the culture, is the default, the better. Then we know where to fix. So if you want to correct it, what do you do? Yeah, it's in the city. Even if you find a lemon tree, and you say, no, hey, it's just lemons, I want oranges, and you start cutting the leaves and cut them nicely and take them off, and you say, no, I'm just going to water it. What fruit will it produce? Lemons. The default setting. Our schools, the way we behave, the way we do our things, the way teachers go to class, the way we teach, it's a culture. And we need to transform that culture from the worm level to a butterfly level, from crawling to flying. I know sometimes you act like you're flying. Just like if someone picks up a worm and holds it like this and move it like this, it will feel like it's flying, right? But then when they drop it, what happens? It goes back to its natural state. But with a butterfly, even if you hold it down for a while, if you leave it, what will it do? Culture. Culture is like what the gentleman said, nature. Is what forces that soft part of the peach seed to push through that hard shell and produce a tree. It's culture. That's why some people, regardless of where you put them, they are excellent. And there's some people, even if you put them in the best schools, they will still be bad teachers. No, it's not. You see, we need to deal with these things as leaders. I know we're leaders here. I'm talking to leaders. I'm not just talking to followers, right? And we must deal with hard matters so that we can be transformed. Otherwise, we'll just accept things and we try to pat each other up and make each other feel good. I'm not the feel good guy. I'm not Trevor Noah. I don't make people feel good. I'm here to make sure that I stretch you so that you can start flying. Does that make sense? So even if you hate me after today, it's okay. But at least change the default. Now, think about your default. What is your default? At your school. Start writing the default setting of your school. Your principals and teachers. Start thinking. Mr. Nayanyandor, you know your default, right? You know why you don't produce 100% bachelors. You know. I mean, you have 50 learners who couldn't produce 100% bachelors. And someone has 500 learners and they're still able to produce more than 300 bachelors. I mean, that chaos, 50, they're just in one class, every day seeing the same faces. It's culture. It's not the resource. It's not the resource. It's not the resource. That's why, hey, another second managers, another challenge. Just speak to the principals of some of the schools that are not performing so well. Ask them, why is your school not performing well? They'll start telling you about the bad things about those learners. Those learners, they don't listen. Those learners, they don't. All those teachers, they give you all these reasons why things are not the way they are. You know why they do that? Because it strips them of the responsibility of making changes. And the sooner we shift responsibility, that's our moment of falling. Without responsibility, we don't grow. Because we think, it's not me. I'm a good principal. It's the teachers. And the teacher says, it's not me, it's the learners. And the learner says, it's not me, it's my parents. And the parents say, it's not me, it's poverty. So where are we going to find poverty and deal with it? Because poverty is the one who's causing all these problems. But, I mean, who won't find a person called poverty? Mr. Amazement, why are you making things so hard for us? We are just teachers and educators. We are not here to change the world. Leave us alone to continue doing things the way they are. Unfortunately, you invited me. That's the mistake. That was the mistake. You could have decided that, no, we don't want this guy. He's not going to make us happy. Let us get someone to just pamper us and make us laugh and so on. But the culture must change. The culture must change. Like I said, cultures like spectacles that are not there. It makes people see things a certain way. All the time. Where someone sees debt, someone sees opportunity. It's culture. It's culture. When someone sees, potential in learners, someone just sees rotten tomatoes. So there is no way. These kids are not going anywhere. And someone speaking, that child saying, this child can become great. Is what? Culture. And that's why it hits us the most. In our way of doing things. In our way of doing things. Culture. So if you want to deal with culture, you must work from the inside out. You must work from the inside out. We must deal with the little things. The little things. And what are the little things? Go to the next slide. Say culture is in behavior, the norms, the beliefs, the ethics, and the we already dealt with the unwritten part. The behavior. How do we behave in our schools? Do you know that the school with the children who are always coming late, even the teachers are most likely to be coming late? Have you realized that? These things are very interesting. You wonder about why? Let me tell you this, the answer. Attitude reflects leadership. Behavior reflects leadership. When we fail to lead right, the followers won't do things right. We cannot expect learners to value education if us as teachers don't value it. Some of us as teachers, the way we behave or we carry ourselves, even in schools, it doesn't seem like we value education. Really, if someone was to bump into you in the street, would they believe that you're educated? If you didn't tell them your qualifications. Now think about these things. The things we say, the conversations we have, would they really believe that, this guy is educated, or they'll think, And they'll say, no, he's a doctor, like, that guy. How? You tell me that guy, no, there's no way. And then we start coming with the excuses, no, it's probably those guys who passed because they were comrades. Because some of us, the way we carry ourselves, doesn't seem to agree that we are actually valuing the education that we think we value. It doesn't. And we must protect education, we must value it. If as teachers we are found drinking in a village, in the same place where our kids are studying, and we are drinking in the same bottle store with some of the learners that we are teaching, how do you expect that learner to behave the next day at school when he's seeing teacher Mang Mang, who yesterday was, do you understand? And it's this small, we don't see these things, but it's the behavior. Attitudes reflects leadership. We must become so careful that we protect the dignity of our education. Remember what I said, it's not about you. So even if it feels good for you to do like that, at least go buy alcohol. And it's fine for you to drink alcohol. Take alcohol, buy it, go drink it home. Or go drink far, where your kids won't see you, the kids that you see. No, because these things, it's affecting how children view education. And worst of all, we are in the forefront of it, and we are the ones who are supposed to teach. Think of yourself. If you are a parent, and there was a teacher who does things the way you do them, would you trust that guy to be teaching your child? Yourself. If you are a parent and you are the teacher that you have to trust someone, you have to trust your child to be taught by, would you trust yourself? If the answer is no, then maybe we must change the way we carry ourselves as teachers. The default setting, the behaviors, the norms. What is normal? What do we see as normal? You know, there are schools that has more pregnancies than any other school. And you wonder, okay, did someone just come and taught sex education in this school and never taught other schools? Because it seems that all in this school understand sex and they just having babies and all the other schools are not having babies. Yeah, we look at things like that and we think it's ridiculous. And the reason we see these things is because what we have taken as a norm is wrong. Our default setting is not right. Because our default setting is that pregnancy is normal. And if you normalize it, what do you expect to happen? It's going to be everywhere. It's normal for a child to be pregnant. It's normal. We don't see it as an issue. You don't address it because you have accepted it as what? As normal. But there are schools with no pregnancies. Well, how do they do it? They are also teaching teenagers like yours, who also have feelings and have all of these hormones moving them. How come we don't have the same experiences from this one? What we accepted as the norm? It's culture. It's culture. In some universities, cohabiting is normal. In some universities, cohabiting is not normal. It's culture. I mean, one day I was at Univen and I was addressing students there, and I happened to be told, no, let us go and walk around in the races. And as I was walking in the races, I was shocked at the residences of this university of ours. And I said, how is this a residence? Where I was studying, there was even a time that no, at this time, everyone who's a visitor must be out. For the ladies' side, because where the rest where the other side was the ladies and the other side was the guy. If you visited a lady and you're a guy, at a certain time, they will make a call. Come and sign out and go out. No, but we're adults. I mean, why don't they leave us? But it's because they created a norm. To some of the students, feel it's abuse. We are adults. We want to also have time. But to others, it's a norm that has been created. And they've accepted that this is the standard that this institution is setting for themselves. So other institutions, it's common for people to just keep coming pregnant. And the other institutions is like, no, school first. It's the norm. The question is, what have you accepted as a norm to your circuit? What have you accepted as a norm to your school? What is normal to your school? What is the acceptable thing to do at your school? What is that thing that you have tolerated and it's become common? You don't even get shocked about it. When they say a child is pregnant, it's normal. When they say the child is not coming to school, it's normal. You don't even get concerned, like it's normal. Because you have accepted these things. When a teacher doesn't go to a class during his period, it's normal. It's a free period. Learners from a certain school last year, I think they go to Makado Comprehensive. And some of you feel that I had. We have. You don't even know what I'm going to say, and you're already laughing at the second. It's my school. I know, it's a second. I'm glad he's here. So now, from that school, those learners came to me and begged me. They said, can you allow us to use your garage every day? Instead of us going to school in the morning, we'll wake up to come to our garage. And you see, now I have to be sensible. It sounds right from these kids who say, no, they really love education, they want to come to my house to learn. But I said, you know what, I cannot allow you to do that. Because I have a responsibility to your school, even though your school have not hired me and I don't know anyone in your school. But I have a responsibility to your school that I must not push you out of school. You must go and learn. They said, no, we are not being taught. They're all day. A grade 12 learner, just pre-trial exam, spending the whole day not being taught. And those are things that we have accepted as normal. Until a teacher or a principal start to say, this is not normal, we cannot accept this as our default. No change will happen. You see, a worm who doesn't become a butterfly has accepted that it's normal to be a worm. it's become comfortable that, no, you know what, you guys are flying. You know, I'm not at the flying level. I'm fine. All I do is crawl. Are you rushing there? Don't worry, I'll get there. One day, if I don't get into an exam, I will get there. What have we accepted as our norm? How do we have a school where we don't teach learners and we are hired to do that? And we're getting a salary, and the 22nd is coming next week, right? And we're going to get money. And we're going to go spend it. I always laugh and say, you know what, if there are people who are predictable, are teachers and people who work at the end of them, who earn salary on the 25th and the 30th. Whenever they get paid, we know. Because the town will be full of them. Yes, no, just walk around like, it's the 22 today. I know it makes sense. All of them are buying groceries at the same day, and all of these things, and so on. We're all getting paid, and it's nice to get paid, right? To buy new cars. We all have nice cars and nice houses. But, guys, what norms are we doing to our schools? What are we taking as normal? Culture. We need to transform the culture. Get rid of the wrong norms. And it's difficult. It's not overnight, but it's possible. Somebody has to just stop accepting things as they are. Somebody got to be like Popeye and say, you know what, I just can't stand it no more. The norm. We want progress, but what is your norm? Is your norm progressive? Because if you want progress and the norm is saying, no, but we are going that way. You will just speak of progress, but you will never achieve it. The norm. The beliefs. Culture inspires belief. The things we believe about ourselves. If we believe we can produce 100% pass rate, is the culture. If you believe we cannot produce 100%, you are still correct, is the culture. Simple. If someone says, no, I want 5 learners in my class to get 100% out of 100% in mathematics, it's their belief. It's because of the culture, and it's true. And someone can say, you know what, even if, at least if I can just get 5 people who just pass maths, at least. Again, it's their culture that has brought them to the belief. And culture produces habits. The things we do without thinking. Like I said, when we put on our shoes this morning, we didn't check whether we're putting the left or the right. We just put them right. But we put them the right same way every day. It's habit. And habit happens when, after a while, you're built in a system where, even if you don't think about it, you act that way. Ever met a person who has a habit of swearing? Or cursing? Where even in a normal conversation, when they're busy moving and then a bee stings them, and all of a sudden they start swearing. It's a habit. Even if they're in church, sometimes they get shocked. Did I just say they're in church? Why? It's a habit. A habit you can't control. But at first you were controlling it. How did it come to a point of not controlling it? You did it so many times and so often that it became worn out in your system, that your brain was functioning in a default state. For example, when you go home with Nedzamba, you probably use the same route every day. It's a habit. When you leave home, you probably do the same things just when you're leaving. I'm talking when you're done dressed up. If you go back to the house twice, you probably do that every day. And you wonder, why every day I have to go? It's a habit. Even the day that you have packed everything properly, you will still go back to make sure. It's funny, but it's true. It's a habit. Okay. How many of us have cars? Lift up your hand if you have a car. Okay, if you have a car and you have been driven by someone before, right? How often is it that when you're going to the car, you find yourself going to the driver's seat when the car is not yours? It happens, right? Yeah. Somehow, even though you know it's not your car, you find yourself already that side. You're like, oh, trying to take out your keys to unlock the car. Even though the car is not yours. Why? It's a habit. Your brain is no longer processing that action. It's just a continuous, uncontrollable automatic action. You know every time you go to the car, you must take out the keys from here and then start. It's a habit. What if we were to make habits work for us? What if our normal habit was to say that I will go to class on time? What if it was a habit that in the morning when I get to school, I'll make sure that all my stuff is ready, get to class on time before the period ends? If I don't have a period before that. What if it's a normal habit for you to go to class and actually teach? Not just go and sit and have a discussion, but go and actually teach. What if it was a habit? What if it was a habit that as a school or as a school leadership, as a principal, you will have regular meetings with your teachers at least twice a week to make sure that you are finding out of the progress together as a team. Not everyone just doing their own thing. What if it was a habit? What if it was a habit for you to prepare well in advance for your lessons before you go to teach? What if it was a habit? You probably would not be getting the results you're getting, right? You probably would be happy. That means that even when you don't feel like it, you'll find yourself preparing. That means even if you are not thinking about it, you just find yourself being in class at the right time. You're like, wait, how come I'm here on time even not? Because it's a habit for you to be there on time. And when you do that, learners begin to portray or reflect your habits. They know as soon as another teacher leaves, there's another teacher waiting. And from there, learners are no longer expecting to make noise. As soon as the teachers finish, they're telling no, it's over. They're preparing the work for the next teacher. Because they know you're going to be there. When you don't come, they get shocked. But for some of us in our schools, when we don't come, it's normal. When they come, like, hey, wow, teacher came. Because we don't create a habit. We don't create a habit of studying. Tests, they're just random, isn't it so? When you think of it, randomly out of a blue, today we're writing a test. Even the students are shocked, today we're writing a test, what's happening? But some schools say, no, on a regular basis we are being tested, we are being tried, we are being prepared for exams, we know what is happening. It's called habits. But what habits are you in your school embracing? What habits are you embracing in your leadership? It maybe, just maybe. As a second manager, you say, no, who will have my own habits with my own team of principals. On a regular basis, we're going to have a report make meetings and make sure that the support is being done and we're sharing skills amongst each other, not competing. You know, there's that bad competition. You have to know, there is no way Mr. Makorera is going to get better results. I'll make sure he doesn't get better. I'm not going to give him any tips. Yeah, it's good. Mr. Makorera may not get the glory, but the children who is responsible for being affected. But we need to create habits that work for us. We need to create them. And for kids, small kids, it's easy to teach. For those in primary schools. I mean, if you just go out of the norm, they will correct you. I taught my son recently, a few years ago or a year ago, how to pray before he eats. And man, now, if I get food and somehow I'm so hungry and I'm just digging, you say, Papa, Arabe. Yeah. And the things that, it's the habit that I taught him that makes him know that every time before we eat, this is what happens. It's a habit. It's a habit. It's a habit. What habits are we teaching our students? Do they have any habits? Or it's just go, trial and error. If you pass, you pass. If you fail, you fail. Next is another group. The one that you are. Meanwhile, was Sunday, I was soon you'll be retiring. Bye-bye, I'm out of this thing. So no stress, nothing. Because we can feel like that and it's fine. It's fine, no one's going to know. But man, I hope you don't do any injustice to your learners. Correct your habits. Like I said, culture is underrated. And I believe, maybe when you said restoring the school culture, you didn't think I was going to bring it this far. Because well, it's just words, just like school culture. No, but culture is a big thing. Until we can see our learners as those who have potential to become fathers and mothers and husbands and wives and responsible citizens of the communities, we are not yet there. You must teach someone thinking that this is going to be someone's husband. What kind of husband are they going to be if I let them get away with this? So no, marasmwana angapa. What are we accepting as a no? Are we all right? Are we still okay? Yeah. Good. Let us stand up, do stretching, and I'll be finishing. Last hour and I'm done. Don't worry, I'll be leaving you. I won't bother you anymore. I'll be leaving very soon. I'm a very good person. So we're gonna keep going. We just finished the issue of culture, right? Yeah. So now we're gonna go into the issue of quality teaching and learning. So I hope you are ready to learn, and I'll be out of your face very soon. I know some of you are already tired of me. This guy must get out of here and go wherever he comes from. We don't want to ever see him again or hear of him again, and it's okay. I understand things like that. You are not the first one to hate me. You are not the first one to hate me. But now let us talk about quality teaching and learning. And I thought maybe we need to deal with redefining these matters. And the reason why I like defining matters and redefining matters is because I think for a long time we have functioned as people and as workers and as professionals under assumption of a lot of things. I think we have assumed a lot of things. We have assumed definitions to a lot of things. We have assumed what things are. We have assumed what culture is, for example. Like I said, I was speaking to the second manager just now that, even when they told me, no, restoration of school culture, we had an assumption of what it actually means, but we never really thought deeply about it. Just like we have assumptions of life and assumptions of time and assumptions of different entities. So the same thing with quality teaching and learning. We have a lot of assumptions around it. So if I can just go, just here before I start, and just ask from a few people, what do they understand when they say quality teaching? It will be very interesting to hear. The gentleman, they said he was still thinking, so I want to hear from him what he understands by the phrase or the term quality teaching. Mr. Blue Shirt. So I don't know your name yet, so. Mashawata. Yes. You are still thinking? You are taking your time. Also, I can wait. Okay, I'm waiting. Quality teaching, say. Because we say we want to give teaching that is quality, right? And I believe Mr. Mashawataka here has proper quality teaching that is giving to his learners. So maybe he can give us enlightenment on what quality teaching is. There's no right and wrong answer, eh? Just give what you understand. Oh, well, you're still thinking. There's a Mr. Principal here who wants to help me.
Yeah, offering.
Good, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Offering the subject in such a way that learners understand and are able to pass.
And are able to pass. So if they fail, it's not quality.
Yeah, if they fail, something is wrong.
Okay. Offering the subject in a way that learners are able to understand and are able to pass. They call it quality teaching. What do you have to say? Same idea. Okay. Ma'am, please assist us. You saying so well, by the way.
Teaching in such a way that learners enjoy and get involved and end up benefiting from some teaching.
So they enjoy and be involved and end up benefiting. Okay, maybe I should ask the second managers what they expect from their principal. They say, give quality teaching. Tell us, what do you expect?
When we expect a kind of teaching that would have learners being able to exhibit what they've been able to inject from educators. And that will be on a broader scope, not necessarily in terms of what they can reproduce as knowledge, but the way they carry themselves, how they behave, and quite a number of things, because teachers, as they teach, we know that there are two curriculums that teachers deliver. There is the one that is prescribed in the book, but there is also a hidden curriculum, which learners subconsciously learn from the educators. So the overall behavior of learners outside the school premises, even before we go to the books in terms of performance, will tell us whether what is happening in the school, there is quality teaching or not.
Give him a clap of hands. Maybe I must have you, has he told you that? Or you were just going in? Because, you see, quality teaching. You know, everyone, I like how everyone is expressing, in an elaborative manner. It is, you teach people enjoy, people must learn, people must exhibit what has been taught in terms of quality teaching. But you see, there's a difference between teaching and quality teaching. I repeat, there's a difference between teaching and quality teaching. There's a t-shirt and there's a quality t-shirt. Are you starting to get me now? There's a shirt and there's a quality shirt. There's a car and then there's a quality car. Yeah. You didn't know. And the issue, the key word there is not teaching, because you are teaching. The key word there is not teaching. The key word is quality. That's why I didn't say tell me about what it means to teach. I said tell me about what it means to have quality teaching. And the moment I start giving an example of a t-shirt and saying that there's a t-shirt and there's a quality t-shirt, you begin putting what I was trying to get from you. Isn't it so? That when we talk about quality teaching, we're referring to a certain standard of teaching. Because quality in itself is something else. Quality in itself is something else. Go to the next slide, say. Maybe you can understand the essence of quality. Like I said, as professionals and as people who live in this world that God has granted to us, and in this particular time that we've been graced enough to live in, we have a lot of assumptions about a lot of concepts, but we never truly understand them. Like the word quality, we misuse it and we underuse it and we overuse it unnecessarily. But we must understand a word before we use it. That's why Jesus was a man of few words. Because words carry what? Weight. Quality. Teaching. Key word is quality. What is quality? What is quality? It's a standard, isn't it so? It's a standard that is set. And typically, the normal view of it is that it's just a definition of standard. But today I want to bring it to a level that it's not just a definition of standard. Because if you look at the synonyms of the word quality, the things you get are those words: excellence, worth, merit, superiority, and value. And what we end at is standard. We don't like to go to those excellence. Now if we say excellent teaching, let's just replace the word quality by the word excellence. We say excellence or excellent teaching. Now it changes the answer we would give when someone asks us, what would it mean to say that this some teacher has taught excellently well? What would someone say? And what would that look like to teach excellently? I like how a friend of mine has defined excellence. The young man is the current head of Dal Direct. If you know Dal Direct, the company, right? The teleshow insurance company. So the current man, the chief flower. It's a guy from Venda actually. It's from that side, not what? After Mukura, that side. So he's the head of Dal Direct. And when he defined excellence, he said, excellence is when I do what I do to a level that even I myself would not improve on it, given any other opportunity to do it. So if you do it today, you do it so good that even if you were to do it again tomorrow with the same standard, same circumstances, same ability, you will not improve on that level. And that is scary. That means you must teach every moment as if it's your last moment. Now, some of you here, truly think, I don't want you to give me the answer, think of yourself. Those of you are educators. Ask yourself, if they were to take me from the school that I am and put me at a certain school in Stellenbosch, in Cape Town, and tell me to teach the same subject that I'm teaching to these kids in Venda, will I teach it the same way that I'm teaching it now? And if the answer is no, that can tell you a lot of things. Wait, what would change? No, then they pay better. Also, pay now determine the level of quality that you're producing. Because excellence is what we all should seek after, and excellence is personal. For example, what is excellent to Mr. Makwarela may be just a starting point to me. And that's the nice thing about quality, isn't it so? Even if you bought something that you thought is of high quality, and then someone tells you that, no, there's something else that is of higher quality somewhere. And you're even embarrassed now to show off your quality. Now, it happened to us when we went to varsity. When you get to university, you find, from Limpopo, everyone wants to wear what? A Kavela, right? Then you get to university, you realize that you are the only people who are wearing Kavelas are from Limpopo. And then everyone else there is not wearing that. Because the differentiation of quality from the other side is not Kavela. But here is the highest standard. And that side is not even considered as a standard. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? But what I desire is that we perform as teachers at a level of quality that is not just good enough only for me, but it's also at a very good rather at a level where it can compete with other levels across the country. Can you teach maths so good that even if you're to compete or to teach in a school with the best of us, you'll still teach it with the same attitude? If you're not giving us that and we have hired you and we are paying you every month, maybe you're not giving us enough. Where are you going to take all of that energy that you're keeping hidden? Where are you going to take all of that potential that you have inside of you? Are you waiting for you to become a principal to be a better leader? Are you waiting for you to become a director to be on time? What are you waiting for before you unleash what you have within you? Quality teaching. Maybe I thought today I should use an example. I thought I was going to bring a ball, but you see, I didn't take some of the balls of my son at home, so I thought I should use this bottle instead. So I'm going to make the same point. And I want to talk about quality. Right? I want you to understand me clearly, loud and clear. This is a ball, right? I'm telling you this is a ball. So it's a ball. Right? So this is a ball. This ball has in it the ability to go high. It has in it the ability to do what? To go high. Right? So, I decided to put it under this pulpit. And I'm going to take it high. And that's it. Right? It just hit what? The pulpit. And I can do the same thing over and over and over again. It's still going to hit what? Now, after a while, this ball will believe that it can only go what? Inside. Worst of all, if we start clapping hands for it, for going this high, this ball will think it has made it in life. Why? Because it's going this high and everyone is clapping. So I have made it. This is the highest level that I can become. But is this really the highest level that the ball can go? No. Really? What is the highest level that the ball can go? Is it? Maybe I should try this one. Is it at this level? But we can clap hands for it even at this level. Right? And it will think that what? My goodness, I used to be here. Now I'm here. I have made it. And we can take it to this level. Throw it up. This is the ceiling, comes down. What will it feel? Man, I was there. And I've come to what? To this level. Just like you. At some point, when you're village, in your home, when you're growing up, and you didn't have nothing, and so that's all you can achieve. Then education helped you, you got to this level. And you went, wow, now I have a degree. Look at me now. Oh, I'm in university. Look at me now. Hey, this life is good. Now you get at this level. Now you have a job. You're earning a salary. People are doing much. And what does it feel? It feels like you have made it. Everyone in the street honors you. You are known by everyone in your home. Everyone knows that, if you talk about Mr. Makorera, he has made it in life. Man, he's a principal. Do you know what it means to be a principal? He's a principal. He earns more than all the teachers in his school. He has a nice car. Where are we? Right here. And every time he jumps up and he gets here, does something a bit good and teaches a bit and obtains a good pass or a good aggregate, what do we do as a second? We come together, we clap hands, we say, well done, Mr. Makorera, you are doing well. You are the best in our circuit. And where is he? And after a while, if we applaud him long enough for doing it, after a while, he will start believing. That's the highest level you can ever be, and you can never go higher. And as soon as someone comes and tells you you can go higher, you'll feel like that someone doesn't know them or doesn't believe in their capability. And what will they do? Say, no, this person is criticizing me. I've done my best. I'm the best these people have ever seen. And he can decide to retire. And sadly, most of us will retire only when we've reached this level. And then there are those of us who go up there. And compare this level and that level is not the same. Still, this is a ceiling, it's a standard of quality. It does not necessarily mean that this ball can only go as high as this ceiling. Is it possible that maybe we have contained our quality of teaching or definition of quality so much that it only ends at this level? Or maybe we're just here. And we think, man, we have made it. Our school is doing well. We have 20 bachelors. Wow. We got a child in university. Wow. And people clap hands for us. And when we think of flying there, because nobody has ever gone there, they tell you that, or very few people have gone there, they say, no, it's impossible. But you have the ability to go there. When you tell them, I'm dreaming of flying higher than this ceiling, or going beyond just getting one child to university, what do they say? It's impossible. This is the world, Mr. Chishibe. Not everyone can be successful. Not everyone is going to make it. Not every child is going to do it. Not everyone has a potential. Your children are from a village. What do you expect from a village child? Whatever you get, accept it. It's good. And when you tell a teacher, you need to come to class in time, they will tell you, where have you seen teachers coming on time? And you think, you know what you're expecting, maybe it's not real, but it is real. We can go higher. And if you take this ball outside and throw it higher, we realize that even this ceiling is just too low for it. Unfortunately, many of us retire having lived life only at this level. So when we talk about quality teaching, I want us to think of teaching beyond the norm. Once we use the word quality, erase or exclude ordinary from that definition. If your teaching is ordinary, it's normal, it's not yet quality. It's just teaching. And there's nothing wrong with it. You can still teach and people will be happy, that's fine. But unfortunately, when they invited me, they said quality teaching, you see. So, worth, merit, superiority. How high in terms of excellence or quality is your teaching? Really? I mean, some of us we don't prepare, do we? Why? Because you're used to it, right? You know when you've been jumping and it's the same thing, you no longer even have to prepare. You know, even if I jump, I'm just going to get here. So I'm fine, I know. But when you learn to fly and get out of this limitation, you realize that you can go as high as you can. You too can get children coming from this circuit to fly, to go to other countries. We too can have learners becoming directors and becoming top contributors to the communities from this circuit. We too can have learners becoming business people from this circuit. We too can do that. We have not realized how much potential we have, just like this ball, because we've accepted for too long to just come this far. Quality. I mean, look at our primary schools. What's prohibiting our schools and primary schools to make sure that our learners at school have a homework every day? Primary level. So no, it doesn't matter, this is government, we can't do that. But it's just give them work, let them what to do. I was amazed. Saw a kid from this other school past week, and his book, for the first time, had a work written from every day. Every date there was work, every day. And I said, wow, that is rare. He's in grade R, he had work for every day. Some of our schools, if you say, let me see the work of grade R people, you'll have to dig a hole. Quality teaching. Quality teaching. Next slide, please. There's also effective teaching. And I'm done. The rest of the stuff we'll deal if you get to invite me one day. Go to the next slide. Effective teaching. And there are 4 pillars that I believe determine how we teach effectively to produce quality results. 1 is perception. Culture. How you see the learners you teach. 1. And how you see yourself as a teacher. Perception. That will determine how effectively we teach. Have you ever tried to teach something to someone you look down upon and you think they won't make it? Have you ever tried to do that? And when you're teaching them, immediately before even you give them a chance to understand, you already judge them that they won't understand this thing. We just choose, no, I'm not going to explain to him these things anymore. No. You won't understand, it's okay. You know when a child asks you a question at home and you want to answer and then you look at them, you're like, no, you won't understand. So no, it's fine, it's fine. Let's just move on to another thing. So teaching determined by the perception. That child did not say I cannot understand. The learner didn't say I cannot do real maths. We perceived from our own understanding, from our own perception that no, you cannot do that. And we looked at ourselves as well and said, I cannot make this learner learn this subject. I cannot help this learner learn this subject. I cannot teach this learner enough on this particular subject. Perception. Maybe if we just had the right perception to our learners, the way we teach will be different. A parent called me last year when I was working on her child, and she said, how come you are able to get to her? So no, this child has been unruly all her life. I thought she was not even going to pass grade 12. She's just the worst child ever. How come you're good with it? See, no, I just treated her as a normal person. That's all. I just treated her as a normal person and I spoke to her as a normal person and I expected her to comply to what I was saying. Simple. But if you perceive someone to already have an outlook that's negative, you don't care. The moment they don't understand, you knew obviously they were not going to understand. So let us move on to another thing. In 2007, we had a debate with this other school where they were forcing learners to do standard grade mathematics before Amaze.titus. And they were forcing them to do standard grade mathematics because they thought, in our school, there is no way we can have high grade mathematics in this school. Regardless of the learner's desire and capacity, in this school, we are not going to teach you high grade mathematics. We are going to start you. Where are you? From this village, there is no way. And those learners were sidelined and they were not taught because they wanted high grade. There were only 4 out of around 70 kids. The other ones complied. They said, no, we will do standard grade. Perception. Second period, comprehension. Or rather, when we're still in perception, let's talk about ourselves. How we perceive ourselves. Do you perceive yourself to be an excellent teacher? Do you really perceive yourself to be an excellent teacher? Do you perceive yourself to be a purposeful teacher? Because if you don't perceive yourself right, you're more likely not to not perceive the other person right. If you don't respect yourself, you cannot respect the other person. When we see inappropriate relationships between teachers and learners, it's because of perception. Somebody didn't realize that they are very respectable. So they didn't mind taking off their pens to a child. Perception. Perception. You need to see that learner with a potential. Look at that learner as if they're like this bottle. They can go high as long as they're given enough room to go. Some of us were busy constraining them. But if you happen to hire me to adopt your school, I will help you. You'll get to see the results of what I do when we see learners in a different way. Number 2, comprehension. Comprehension. How well do you understand your learners and the community that they are from? There's a difference between knowing and understanding. You can know that this person comes from a poor family, but to understand is a different story. To understand, you have to understand how they think so that you can bring them to think the way they ought to think. You got to understand their default so that you can bring them the better default. Comprehension. How well to understand? Because if we're going to be going to teach learners and we don't understand where they're from and why they think and how they do the things they do and why they do the things they do, then maybe we can't teach them. How do you do that? Amazement, just leave. I know that's what we're saying. No matter. Very soon. Very soon I'll be leaving. Comprehension. Like I said, I won't expand much, but let's go to the third one, correction. That part we have ignored for so long. How many of us in our classes, those of us who teach, still do correction? Not give memorandum. There's a difference between giving a memorandum and doing correction. And we've become so accustomed. Technology makes these things easy. You don't have to you just print out a memorandum, dish it out, go home. Then you're going to go to the next test and so on and so on. But we need to learn the art of correction. Our learners need to know what it means or what it is that they got in correcting. You see, most of the learners that I have adopted, I've realized that they don't even know why they got things wrong. Most of them, if you ask them, okay, why do you fail economics? That learner they can't even give you one reason. Got learners who struggle with mathematics. Ask them which chapter exactly do you struggle with. They cannot tell you which one. They'll tell you all of them. So okay, fine. Let's talk about geometry. And which part of geometry do you struggle with? I know everything, or I don't know. Because correction has not been implemented properly. And correction is where we learn. We learn to do things the way we do them because someone corrected us how not to do things. You are not always wearing tie the way you wear the tie, isn't it so, Mr. Second Manager? Someone corrected you, no, but that's not how you, this is how you do it. But if someone just came to you and gave you a picture of someone wearing a tie and say, no, this, it must look like this, and then go home. So you'll go home and you try, at the end of the day, you'll end up buying a tie which is already made and put it on. No, that's what will happen. Isn't it so? Let us think logically. And that's what we're doing with our learners. And the day he goes to a place where someone gives him a tie which is not tied, he's going to have a problem. And that's what happens to our learners when exams come. They find a tie which is not tied. And now they have to make sense of this. And they don't even know where to start because they never went through correction. How much time do we spend in the class? So let us discuss the papers that we wrote. Let us discuss the questions. And I know the answer, but you don't say we don't have enough time. No, we have to push this way, we have to push this way, we have to push this way. But man, when I was in school, we used to go to school early Monday to Friday. Today you go to school Monday to Sunday. You still don't have time. And we are finishing at 5 every day. It's trainers, isn't it so? But because we are not doing things the right way, we are failing to make the most of it. Correction. The last pillar, preparation. And this one, my friends, don't like it. This one, it's itchy. It's a thorn in our flesh. We don't like to prepare. If I were to ask most of you here, say no, let us go back and I just want you in your office or in your room or wherever you prepare, show me the notes you prepared for tomorrow's session. Hey. We don't prepare. We just wing it. Just go and do it. But you know, somehow, preparation doesn't stop. It's not supposed to stop if you want success. The best footballers, the best athletics people keep on preparing. We know of popular sports people, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, the boxing people, Deontay Wilder, Floyd Mayweather. They keep practicing, yet they are winning every time. Why doesn't these people say, no, I'm not going to practice, I'm the best? But you ask everyone, you find that, no, the same people who are the best, they go to practice early and they leave late. And they remain the best. Those ones who are one of the best, they come late and they leave early. And they feel preparation is not important. These ones, they prepare. Why? Because preparation must continually be done if you want to be on top of your game. If you want to teach quality, you must prepare. My friend, like we said, it is not an accident, is it so? When you see things happen the way they are, it's not an accident. It's not an accident that your class is failing. It's not an accident that you are not producing the results you are producing. It's because of lack of preparation. We're not prepared. What does it mean to prepare? Let's just do the principles and I will see them. This is really 8 minutes already, my friends. We should go. Preparation principles. Number 1. How to prepare. The principles that govern preparation, it must be according to God. Before you even prepare for your class, before you're going to teach, what is the goal? Have you ever asked yourself, today, what am I trying to achieve today? What am I trying to get them to learn? If you have 5 objectives for the lesson, ask yourself, which one is the most important? Or you're just teaching to push time on. I came to class and I said, you know what, learners, this is history. Nelson Mandela 1994. And then you finish it, you knock off, you put the dust and you get off. Or you do what some of my teachers used to do when I was in high school. They'll just come and write. You know those teachers who write? They stand in front of the book and write all the notes. And all we did what? Copy. It's not teaching. It's not teaching. It's copying. No, it's not. We must teach. That we must prepare according to the goal. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to achieve when you're making a kid copy? You're actually wasting time because the whole 30 minutes of a period, all you did, you make kids copy it. They didn't learn anything, they just copied. And it's nice, you can copy talking, isn't it so? If I came here and just put the slides up, you would be copying, right? You don't even learn what I'm trying to learn. The notes that I put up there are nothing compared to the content that I'm dishing out. Preparation. We must prepare. What is the goal? What are you trying to achieve in your class this year? How much preparation are you going? I always say that, no, let us go to the second principle. Preparation must exceed the desired outcome. If you want to produce the best results in your year, right? Let's say, for example, you want to produce 100% pass rate in your school. You cannot prepare your work exactly like, or 80% or just exactly 100%. You must prepare more than 200%.
Yes.
How many of you have found before? If you want your maze to be proper, you can't go there and just put one seed and leave. Say, no, I want 5 hours. What if one of them will die? You must prepare and exceed desired outcome. So when you go to class, go having work that is more than what is required for the day. I came today. The work that I prepared, you will be shocked if I were to show you. You will be shocked. And it's just for 4 hours. Since the day you told me that you were invited, I've been preparing for today. And what did you tell me? More than a month, more than 2 weeks ago, right? Around a month. And I've been preparing for 4 hours. And you are going to teach the whole week and not even 1 day of preparation. Preparation must always exceed outcome. Sometimes as principals, we might say before a teacher goes to teach, say, no, let us discuss, what are you going to teach today? And ask the teacher, let us see your lesson plan. What are you going to teach? You will be shocked that people are just going to class saying, no, it's all in my head. When we prepare, it teaches us what is important and what is not important. And we're able to measure. How do you measure what you have taught and what you have not taught if you don't prepare? You can't even look back at the notes. Preparation. The word preparation itself, it says prepara, before birth or before production. It must happen before time. You can't say just before the exam starts, now you are starting to teach. Again, I'll give an example of the school at Makar. Man, I was disappointed. Right before the trial exams, then they are making, when they said the trial is next week, that week, they are making the kids write the test. All of the tests that are required for CAS are supposed to be written in that week. All of them. Now, no, he knows this too, right? And then you find kids in 1 day going to write 3 exams. Now, if they write 3 tests and then 2 tests, but it's good that the teachers will have something to show for assessment, right? But those kids are not prepared. Now you're dropping these kids' CAS mark. At the end of the day, when the final results come out, they are affected because of your lack of preparation. Just do things on time. Rather do more than do nothing and wait for the day, the doomsday. Say, oh, wait, let's say exam tomorrow. Okay, let's prepare today. Now you end up printing for kids memos. No, this is the memorandum for this history question. This is the memorandum for this history question. Just go and cram this thing. Because we don't do what? We don't prepare. And when we prepare, we get to correct things. Because when you're preparing, you get to reread your stuff and say, no, but that's not right. I need to correct that. I looked at some of the memos that some of the kids that I was helping last year, and I said, wait, this thing was written by a teacher. Spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes, and it's history. You're going to be charged also on language and content. And there's no structure on paragraphs and so on. They're not even flowing properly. I said, but seems like it was something that was written just to pass time quickly. Get these kids to just get this copy and finish. At least I would say they pass. But we're not preparing our learners properly. And I was trying to teach those kids, but they said, no, the teacher insisted you must use this memorandum. I said, but your memorandum is not even correct. It's not even spelled correctly. It's not even complying with what is required in the exams. Why? Lack of preparation. Preparation number 4. It must account for all eventualities. What does it mean? What happens if you fall sick to your class? Happen to fall sick. Will the class continue? Can you give your lesson plans for at least immediately that month to say, no, yes, the work plan for the next teacher is going to stand in for me in my absence? At least can work. Then he can develop his own lesson plans from there off. Can we do that? Or no, the moment you're sick, it's a crash. The school does not know what to do. The new teacher doesn't even know where you were. You have no order, you have no plan. It's just a chaos. But we call ourselves quality teachers. And at the end of the day, we're going to be applauded. And they say we're excellent teachers. Some of us, to be honest, we're just happy because our students are fighting for themselves. To be honest, if we truly assess ourselves, we don't deserve the marks that our students are giving us. It's because the students themselves are fighting. Some of them are getting tutors outside. Parents are working hard to get their kids getting better knowledge because we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough. So we must account for all eventualities. All eventualities. Prepare according to all eventualities. Even if it means that there was a time at 2007, 2006 when there were strikes around grade 12, around teacher strikes, I remember. And some schools, students were not allowed to come to school because of strikes. Around that side in the Middle East, around Sibas, people are not allowed to come to school. So now it was around exam times, there were teacher strikes, students are not allowed to come to school. Exams are going to come. They want to move exams because of the strike. But if you have not been teaching students on time, what's going to happen? It means that all of that work that you thought you were going to do at the last minute, it's no longer necessary, or it's not going to be taught. So you prepare, accounting for eventualities, be in time, do it all the work, finish all the work on time. By the time trial exam comes, you are done. You know where your students are. Most of us, if we were to just ask you, to be honest, where are your students? Where are they in terms of their level of understanding? You can't even tell us, because there's no preparation. The last principle of preparation, which is why one of you said preparation is not always exciting. It's not. Sitting in the office or wherever you are preparing a lesson, it's not exciting. As if you're a student and you've been teaching this thing over and over and over and over again. You've been teaching mathematics over and now you have to prepare again. Yes, it's not exciting, but it produces excellent results and exciting results. So it's not always exciting, but you must do it. Yes, preparation must be done according to God's desired outcome and so on, but it is not exciting, people. So, Mr. Second Manager and Ms. Second Manager, if you go to a school and you find that the teachers are not prepared, just understand it's because it is not exciting. It doesn't fuel the fire, it doesn't make them feel like I'm excited. No one gets excited to prepare. Everyone gets excited for a game. That's why if you go to any place where they're training, you won't find fans. Have you ever find people watching people train? Do people pay to watch people train or to prepare? No. Well, Cristiano Ronaldo, as much as they fame, they practice by themselves. No one is watching because it's not exciting. But when glory day comes, when a match comes, people pay to go watch. If you prepare well, even though it's not exciting, when the good days come, you will get applauded by many. No one is there when they are working hard and pushing learners and so on. No one is there at Tengo. No one is there at, what is that school? Chivas. No, you mentioned the school. Dimani. When Dimani is working so hard, no one is there. But when they get results, Dimani, people will be applauding. Isn't it so? Because preparation is not exciting. There's nothing fun about preparing. Imagine me, every day, I sit at home, every night, wait for my kids to sleep, sit down in the middle of the night, typing and preparing for people that I don't even know, who might even hate me. I don't know you already hate me. And I'm preparing for you guys. It's not exciting.
But it is necessary to produce the results we need. Let us proceed. From my table and my company, thank you for listening to me. You can give us questions. Let's go to the next slide. If you have any questions, you are free to contact us. Show us the contact details. And yeah, go to our website or contact me on those numbers that are there or email me. But like I said, if you hate me, it's fine. And if you would like for me to adopt your school, we still have some space in our program, in our calendar, and maybe we might adopt your school. I told you, I'm expensive, but for the adopted program, it's cheap. But the idea is that we want our learners to produce the best results. And that one, I'm sure we know how to do it. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.